All right, so we are now live. Welcome to the candy shop. My baby's singing in the background, but that's okay. I am Candace, and today I have some people that I love, some people that I know that will give me some good content. So we have Hannah and her soon-to-be hubby, Bert. We have Kennard, my husband. I have my cousin Kenny, and you guys will get to see how they talk. But last but not least, we have my good friend Lee Black. He's going to facilitate and host because this is the Lions Den tonight. So welcome to the candy shop. We'll go ahead and get started into the topics. And Lee, you can start us off. Let me get to it. And here we
Welcome,
go.
welcome everybody. How y'all doing? Thanks for having me, first of all. So I appreciate coming on board. Appreciate the confidence, so y'all know I'm a little nutty if you haven't seen me. But I do my own show on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So I try to keep it, kind of moving in a forward direction, centered around the topics. And we've got 5 topics that we're going to cover tonight. The first one is always a good one. You cannot go wrong when you think about cheating, at looking around at the dais, the panel, we've all experienced, we've been in relationships before, and I would hazard to say that everybody's been cheated on, maybe, you know. So I don't know if everybody's been a cheater, but I'm looking at the guys, for example, we all look like we're above 30. We've been in those situations. Ladies probably been cheated on. So the first topic, as Candace has it laid out, we're going to talk about the signs of cheating. So I typically like to go around and kind of get your opinion. So, from where you sit in your personal experiences, I'm going to start with I want to start with the couple. I want to start with Hannah and Bert, you know, and to kind of set the context a little bit, how long have you guys been married?
Engaged.
Engaged. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay. All right. So wow. So you guys haven't married yet. Okay. So you've been in previous relationships. Talk to me a little about your experiences leading up to now in terms of cheating. What's been your experiences? And either one of you could start.
Ladies first.
Okay. Well, I was cheated on in a previous marriage. Um, a part of me knew it, but you know how you're young and you try to ignore the signs even though you know it's there. That's how I was, and I knew it, but I was never the type. Like, I don't go through phones. I don't check messages. I'm not your mother. I don't have time for all that. And at the time, I didn't really realize it. I had a suspicion, but until it was brought to my front door, literally to my front door, um, that's when I knew. But I mean, I kind of knew. We always know, but I didn't want to pay attention to it because I'm like, okay, I'm young, I'm married, I'm not going to believe in anything that someone else says or what I've heard, and I'm not going to check for myself because I don't have the time and energy to check up on nobody. Like that's never been my forte.
Okay.
So when it was brought to my front door, I knew, but then it was confirmed.
So let me ask you this. For you, was it women's intuition? You said women know. Or were there literal signs that was there and you ignored them?
So before I could say though, I don't believe in women's intuition, but literally I was at work. I used to work in New York and lived in Philadelphia. And at the time, I was at work and something in my mind did not feel right. And I was just calling and calling and calling and no answer. And I'm at work. I usually don't call at work because I'm at work. Like, no one really calls. But at that moment, but later, I didn't find out till a year and a half later, that specific day that I kept calling, I was being cheated on.
Okay, so that's sixth sense. One last
I don't know
question.
what happened. I just
Okay,
felt like it didn't
I
feel
mean,
right.
I personally believe there's something inside of us that we ignore. So that's sixth sense. But let me ask you this before I get to your fiance then. So what was the circumstances though that you think led up to this? What at that stage was the relationship good? Where was it at? What do you think that led up to that?
Honestly, I don't know because when we went to counseling, the counselor asked what made you cheat, and he sat in the counselor's face and literally said he does not know.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Bert, what's been your
Oh,
experience with cheating?
All right, my experience in a previous relationship, the young lady did wind up cheating on me. I did have a little bit of an intuition, but as far as with being a man, I think I was like kind of like in denial a little bit there, even though I kind of knew there was something going on there. Like case in point, that person was running to a different state with their child. And a lot of times, if you're running to a different state with your child and you're taking them to the father, you would think that you would take your significant other with you, so that way you have some time and and do what you normally do and get
Right.
some free time. So a little bit later, I would say like maybe a month or two later, found out she finally confronted. She came to me and told me, and come to find out, she was actually pregnant by the child's father.
Wow. Wow. Let me ask you this. You bring up an interesting point that I believe a lot of times cheating comes from opportunities created. And I've had this conversation with people before. Of course, we're all accountable, but I think cheating, a lot of it is about opportunities. Knowing that she was going to a different state, do you think when you look back on it now in retrospect that you allowed that to happen by creating that opportunity?
Yes, I can honestly say yes. I was working a lot, but as far as like the intimacy was being cut in, like it wasn't even cut in half. It was like non-existent. And I kind of, you kind of, as a man, you like, come on. Like normally it's the woman that normally saying like, what's wrong with me? Like, why aren't you coming at me? But
Right.
then when it's a man and we're saying that, it's like, hold up, that's a red flag.
Right.
And once I seen that, and I should have really addressed it, but as a man, I had that pride thing. I ain't gonna step in. I'm not gonna say this, all this, that, and the third. So I kind of stayed pat, and that was the demise. If I would have just called it right then and there, then we could have got some things straightened out. We could have just went our separate ways, but it just went right down the drain after that. And looking
Wow.
back on it, I should have confronted it, said something about it, and it kept it moving. But sometimes you just hang on just for the sake of hanging on sometimes, and that's what I did, and I wound up getting burnt for it.
I love it. Last quick question before I go to Kenny. Kenny, you coming to you next. Were there signs when you look back? Were there signs other than her just leaving out of town? What did you notice when you think back that should have told you?
I think that like the communication, and again like the intimacy, when that became non-existent, that was the telltale sign right there. But again, I was so caught up running, working, everything else like that. I think I was making up more excuses more than anything for her, instead of just looking at it from the standpoint like something's wrong here, something is totally broken. And I just totally dropped the ball. I think I was in a different headspace, and I'll leave it at that. I was just in a different headspace, and it happens. It happens to the best of us. And one thing I will say, I thank her for her honesty, for approaching me and saying that, even though it was messed up. You could have kept it and did whatever, but thank you for being honest, because it gave me a chance to just go ahead and move on, and I felt better.
I love it. I love it. Kenny, what's your experience, man, with cheating?
I really I've actually only known that I was cheated on one time now, and this was early on. I was in my 20s, and my girlfriend at the time, she actually told me that she messed around with her ex-boyfriend, and I was devastated because she was actually my first love. She was my first everything.
Wow. Oh wow.
So when she told me that, I was blown away, and it messed me up for a long time.
Oh man.
But we stayed together after that. I forgave her, but it didn't last too much longer,
Okay.
So
Okay. Which brings me to a couple of questions for that. With this being your first true love, you were young and everything. Did you notice any signs? Was there anything that you could have picked up on?
I didn't. I mean, like Bert said, I worked a lot at that time, so our schedules was totally different. So I didn't see it. And with her being my first, I wouldn't really know what to look for. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I was so in
Okay.
love with it. I was like,
Okay.
I wouldn't even know what to look for at that point.
Okay.
So yeah, I wouldn't. I didn't know anything. If she wouldn't have told me, I would never know. I'll be honest with you.
Wow.
Nothing changed.
Wow. Which leads into what we hear all the time, how I do think women can hide cheating better than men. You know, I think in many cases they're better at it. That's just my personal opinion. I'm
I
gonna
agree.
get the ladies' opinion here in a second on that. But let me ask you this: why did you stay?
Hmm. I always ask myself that. Why did I? Because I was in love with her. I really was. That was it. I mean, I didn't know. I ain't gonna say I didn't know any better, but you know, the heart wants what the heart wants sometimes.
Very, very true.
And I
Very true.
didn't at 22, 23, I really didn't. I really probably didn't really know what love was. I thought it was love, but it was just she was first. So that's I don't, you know, that's why I stayed because I was in love with.
I got you. Looking back on it from that time to this now, all these many years of experience, do you think a cheater can be reformed?
I Yeah, I think so. I think if it's one time, I think a cheater can change. I think once a cheater is not always a cheater. That's what
That's
you
why I
know.
was
That's
asking
what
it.
I'm always
Mhm.
saying. But I believe people can change. But I also do know some people ain't wired to be monogamous, especially some men. Some men ain't wired to be monogamous.
Very good point. Very good point. Last question before I go to Kennard. It is kind of a two-parter. Are you in a relationship right now?
No, I'm single.
Okay, so you and I'm a single man. Have you been a cheater? And
Yeah.
that's why I asked that first because I don't want to put you on the spot
No,
if you
no,
was
no.
in a
You
current
good?
relationship.
No. Technically, no. I know that sound I know that sound weird, but at the time, my ex and I we had been separated for a long time,
Okay,
for
okay,
like 5 years. So
okay, okay.
technically, I mean, yes, because legally I was still married, but
I got you.
technically
I got
we
you.
were separated.
Okay, all right. Appreciate that. Kennard, man, coming to you. You know what's been your experience? You know, I know that you were a college guy. I know a little bit about your background. What's been your experience with cheating?
Well, I mean, the first girlfriend I had was right out of high school. We actually met. She came from South Georgia, and we met. That was a serious relationship, but there was really no dramatic cheating slash craziness going on there. We actually broke up, and then we went our separate ways. And then this is going to tie into this next relationship on the low. So after I broke up with her, I went through this series, especially I was post college. I was kind of playing the game, and I played the somewhat semi-monogamous role while I was in college. I still had my fun, but I was, dedicated to her. But then we graduated right before. I mean, we broke up right before I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Then after a year of I'm talking about just straight up playing around, playing the field, having fun, um, basically being able to relive my college life at a neighboring college where I was a security guard, where I was really able to play the field without having to go to class, so to speak.
Okay.
So I wound up meeting this girl randomly. My friend had just died, actually. And now that I look back on it, I think I got caught up in an emotional situation because he had died. I met her the same night at this house party that my frat brothers had threw, that I was actually reluctant to go through, but I was like, fuck it, I'll go. You know? So I went, and there was this girl who appeared to be kind of a grad student. And I thought she was attractive. It was dark though, but she wasn't ugly. But it was, you know what I'm saying? At the same time, we got together. We started talking, and everything was really, really cool, like almost frighteningly cool. And about 6 months, well, I'll say about 3 or 4 months later, I started doing some bull because I was still kind of in that mode. And I started, I actually reconnected. It was this one night in the club. I reconnected with this one girl that I had talked to the girlfriend that I had just so happened to be out of town, and that I saw her randomly in the club. I was like, oh shit, you know. So connected with her, and I'm like, I actually kind of sort of broke up with the girl that I was with, but she cried and all this other stuff, so we stayed together. Turns out a few months later, she started to push back though, because I think she kind of felt the effects of me doing that, and she started to push back. And then she actually, I could tell she was starting to cheat because she joined this sorority, and they had these bros and all this other stuff that they hung out with. And one night, she kind of sort of lived with me on the slide. She had her own place on campus, but she lived with me because I still lived in Auburn. But she for some reason, this random step practice had to happen at the wee hours of 10:30. And I'm frat myself, so I know we ain't practicing that randomly at no 10:30 at night. And as it turned out, she was going to meet with another guy in my class.
he went back.
You know what I'm saying? So,
you can tell he went there.
Yeah, my car. So I was like, okay. I found out about it, and that was where my simpery kicked in. I thought that, maybe if I spent more time with her, maybe it was my fault that she drifted away and all this other stuff. But at the same time, I didn't realize the fact that this young lady was not who I thought she was. I was in love with an idea. And I think a lot of times men get caught up in appearances and what they want a person to be, and that person is not that. Not only did she cheat on me with guys, towards the end of the situation, and my intuition is real slick, she had this little roommate or whatever, and I could pinpoint the night that this probably happened. She and I was kind of at the tail end of it. She and this girl were roommates, and I came by for just a split second, and about 3 weeks later, it turned out that her and her roommate were in a relationship. And my thing was, I knew it, and I was like, still in love with the idea, still hanging on. But at a certain point, I had to realize that this wasn't right for me, and it wasn't right for her. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So in that instance, what I learned from that is behaviors change when it comes to cheating. People start to move a little different, especially when they're wanting to be with you every night, and then all of a sudden they want to kind of drift away and be away from you all the time. That, like Kenny said, Bert said, the intimacy is not there no more. They start to become indifferent. They start kind of sort of not care where you go.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it gets to the point where that when you start to see them drifting, there's somebody or something that's occupying their time, or occupying space that you used to occupy. And whether they're getting whatever, or whether they're having this emotional tie with somebody, whomever it may be, you got to keep your eyes on that. And when you're young, I'll be honest, and all the guys here, there's a common denominator. Most of this stuff happened when we were young, and when we weren't perceptive enough to understand what was going on, because we were so emotionally tied into the situation to where we're like, oh, it'll work itself out. But now that we're adults, we'll be like, man, I should have left. As soon as I saw the first sign, I would have been out.
Which I want to comment on that part, because Angel raised a point in the green room where she said that for women, when a man cheats on a woman, that the woman is expected to forgive and never bring it up again. But in listening to you guys talk, I think it's clear that it's not a lot of times that men don't have those same intuitions. I don't think it's not that we're dumb and we don't know. I love the point that you made, Kennard, that sometimes we're in love with an ideal, and sometimes it's the beauty, sometimes it's the booty. Let's just keep it real, and so there's a tendency for a man to overlook some of those things, but it's not that we don't know, and so a lot of times I think the misconception is that for women who are better at it, but you're not as good at it as you might think. We know a lot of times, but we still stay there for our own personal reasons.
Right.
And so I think that's what happens. So Angel, I want to kind of get that in there. I want to go to you, Candace, to get your input on here real quick.
Ooh, so a lot has been said. It's a lot to unpack. With the signs of cheating, I believe there are definitely signs. Here go my kids. I don't feel that women cheat better. I feel like sometimes men just feel like they're so overconfident that they believe that it can't happen to them.
Really?
So yeah, but you just said, Freddie, that y'all know that it's going on. So I feel like I call bullshit. I'm sorry, because I feel like men are so overconfident in the way that y'all leave when y'all actually find out a woman is cheating.
Okay.
I don't think y'all would know. I don't think women are necessarily cheating better. No, I'll say this: we aren't sloppy. I've been in situations where men can be sloppy. I've been in a situation, and I'll keep it anonymous. It could be my marriage, it could be my past marriage, but I've been in a situation where I saw some text messages and some stuff went down, and that person tried to justify the cheating based off of, oh, you just weren't here, instead of communicating with me. So a lot of times I feel like the cheating has to do with that particular person, the person that's cheating. It has nothing to do with your mate. It has everything to do with you. And so if it's signs, or if your woman or if your man suspects that you're cheating, it's happening 9 times out of 10. It's no sixth sense. It's just happening. If you see stuff going on, you know how your partner moves. You've been with them for a long time. 9 times out of 10, they are doing something.
Okay.
So,
Well, let me ask this: Can a partner push their partner to cheat?
I will say this: yes, if the communication wasn't there. So if we got into a relationship and I went in and I'm giving you sex every single day, and then it just stops. It's a choice. If you didn't go to your partner and ask them why that sex stopped, and you just decided to cheat, then that's you deciding to cheat. I didn't push you to cheat.
Okay.
So
Let me add my little 2 cents in here. Okay, I'm sorry, Kennedy, did you want to say something?
No. Go ahead. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I love it.
A lot of times people say that, well, if you would have been doing this, I wouldn't have stepped out, or
that's
you
them.
know.
To me, that's sorry, Hannah. That's them deflecting, because there's something in them. Why couldn't you come to me when you had a problem with what was going on? Like, it's that simple.
No, I agree.
Hannah, you had a thought?
Okay, so you know me, I'm kind of both sides on some things. I kind of feel like sometimes someone can push someone to cheat. I don't condone it. I don't think it's okay, but I feel like if the intimacy, the communication, everything is going, if you completely shut down as the person, and then if the person comes to you and explains to you, like, we're not being intimate, we're not talking, and you just basically ignores the hell out of them and feel as though, okay, whatever, I don't care, I'm doing my own thing, then I feel like I'm not justifying cheating. I don't condone it, but I feel like if a person cheated in that instance, it's not right. But if they're trying to reach out to you and rectify the situation, and you're like, F you, I'm just going to do my own thing, then if that person's cheat, then who can really say that they weren't forced into it? I don't condone it. If you just cheating because the sun is out, then yeah, I don't condone that, because you had no reason to do it. But if you're trying on all aspects to rectify your relationship and talk to and communicate with your significant other, and they're just blowing you off and don't give 2 craps, then I think in that case, yeah, I'm not justifying, but I think you can push that person to seek it elsewhere.
Okay. So let me get in here, guys. Definitely a lot to unpack. So I'll say, for the record, for myself, I've been cheated on, and I've been a serial cheater. Like somebody mentioned on the panel, I realize now at this stage of my life, I am not wired to be monogamous. I don't necessarily believe in it. That's a whole nother thing. But I think people cheat for a variety of reasons. And I just had this conversation last night with a female friend, and I always try to pull up little things. Now, I pulled up 5 reasons why I think people that fall into the reasons why people generally cheat: out of anger or revenge. That's number 1. 2, they're falling out of love. 3, situational factors and the opportunity. 4 is commitment issues. and 5 unmet needs. So cheating usually falls on one of those categories. Now, as far as whether you can push somebody in that direction, I'm going to agree with the conversation I had with the young lady last night. We're all accountable for our own actions. Let's start there. So we're not going to say that you made me do it. You know, that old concept, you know, I tripped and I fell inside of her. That doesn't work. You know, we can't sell that. You know, I'm cleaning it up because I'm on YouTube. If I was on my own show, I would have said it point blank. But we can't sell that. But I will say this: the point I was making is that number 3 about opportunity. I think in a lot of cases, cheating is about opportunity. In many cases, I don't think a person goes out. I'm gonna speak for me as a man. I don't think we go out all the time and say, you know, I'm gonna cheat on my woman today. You know, it's sometimes the opportunity. First of all, part of it is the opportunities that are presented to us. You know, I tell this all the time. I'm 52. I'm fat, missing teeth. You know, my opportunities have dried up. You know, when I was in my 30s. I'm being serious.
I feel you.
Can I say this, Lee, too? I definitely agree with you, because let me say this. If I decide to go out, my husband has the opportunity to do whatever. So you
Absolutely.
are exactly correct.
And that's why I want to finish this. And I don't think I'm an ugly guy. My confidence is high. Lord knows I still get my share. Offered to me, at least. I've been monogamous. But my thing is, but the opportunities aren't there like they used to be when I was fit and young and out there in the scene, you know, because those were opportunities. And for example, Lil Wayne is about as ugly as you can get, but he's Lil Wayne. And so for God's sake, pussy is thrown at him. Excuse me for saying it that way. So the opportunities are going to be there. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. and I told somebody this last night. Today on January 2nd, my opportunities are what they are. If I hit the lottery tomorrow, those opportunities are going to increase exponentially simply by virtue of the fact that, wow, that guy is now a multi-millionaire. You know, so the opportunities are going to be there, but it's still my choice. But I want to also answer your part about, Candace, where you said you don't think men know. Let me tell you a short story. And I want the men to chime in on this. You may not know this, ladies.
Lee, look at your nephew's comment. I think this is your nephew, minority investor.
I see. He says, crushes our soul. But I want to ask the guys something. We know how you smell. Your woman has a smell. The same way a woman comes home, and if the man is not home, she can smell his t-shirt. Sometimes they put on your clothes because they want to smell you. You ladies have a smell too. And I'm bringing that up for a reason. I've been in a situation where the person has come home, climbed in bed, and the very first thing that came to my mind was something smells funny. There was a different smell on her. I knew from the smell something wasn't right. Now, of course, you add in there all those other things we talk about, signs of cheating. You come in, you go straight to the shower. I was telling somebody this last night. Now, if you look in their drawers, their drawers might tell a story. Those are all those things that you can look at. I know Hannah's looking at me like I'm crazy. We know. It's not that we don't know, but as the men have said, we might choose to stay for a variety of different reasons. You know, I talked about the humility of winter. When it's cold outside, I may know you cheated on me. I'm going to stay until it's time for me to leave. We know. Believe that. I'll let the men chime in because I know we're going to move to topic number 2, but this could go on, but I'll let the men comment on that.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. You can smell it, you know, but again, you know, I was just in denial. You know what I mean? I didn't want to believe it. And I'll go to Candace's point. You know, it was that male ego. Like, man, come on. You can't be doing better than me in the whole 9. So, of course, you just, you know, even though you know, I was just blinded. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you could tell. You could smell it. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all have a smell too.
Yeah.
Y'all have a smell.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of times
don't think when y'all not sleeping, we smell your hair, your skin, you know, all of those things. And again, I know what my woman smells like. And the same way a man comes home and you check it for lipstick, you know, if you got a different scent on you, baby, where you been? You know, and I might not say it. Angel, you said is an opportunity or temptation. Sweetheart, temptation's always going to be there. So that's never gonna leave.
Right.
And that's a question asked by a woman, because as a woman, you get offered dick. There's no other way for me to say it but bluntly. You get offered dick every day. I'm looking at your picture, sweetheart. You get offered dick every day of your life. You can put rollers on your head, slippers on your feet, and go to Kroger's. You still gonna get offered dick.
That's a lie.
Yes, Hannah is a beautiful lady.
Hannah, sweetheart, be honest.
I got to agree with Lee on that one. Yeah.
Be honest, Hannah. Every guy, a comedian said it one time. The man that's offering to push your cart, he's offering you dick.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's keep it honest and keep it real.
Get in them skins. That's exactly what he's doing.
So the temptation's always gonna be there. Sure.
So I just need to know, so suppose we've all been married, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're separated and you file for divorce and the papers are just waiting to be signed, if you meet someone else, is that considered cheating?
No.
Technically you're married.
Yeah, because you're still legally married.
Okay.
Anybody who knows me, as we move to topic 2, they know me. I do not worry about somebody cheating on me anymore. I'm okay not knowing that if I don't ring your bell, you can go get it somewhere else. But I just have 3 simple rules. Don't bring me nothing. I won't bring you nothing. So if you're going to go get your bell rung, you know what I'm saying? Jimmy up. If you know you sleeping with me and I ain't, protect me, protect us. Please. Number 2, don't get caught. Don't insult my intelligence by, as Candace said, being sloppy with it. Be smart. Let them take you to a hotel out of town. You don't shit where you eat. And then 3rd, fuck somebody on my level. I'm an educated African-American black man, articulate, got a job. Don't let me find out you fuck some nigga with gold teeth, his pants hanging off, ain't got no car, and he fucking you in my car, because now I might have to choke you. Okay, let's go to topic number 1.
I want to say one thing before we go on your woman's smell. I guess my sniffer was off because I had no idea with my.
You was young and in love, Kenny. You was young and in love, Kenny.
My nasal passage.
Kenny, you know they tell us when you're young, they say our nose is wide open when we're young.
I was wide open because I wasn't smelling nothing.
That's what it was, my brother. That's what it was, my brother.
Question. When y'all say it smells, say like our perfume, is it like our body, like?
Let me say this, Hannah. I want to say this. Y'all know I mess with a married man. He would talk about his wife, and he said he smelled her panties and knew she was cheating.
But let me tell you what I mean. Let me tell you what I mean by smell, Hannah. The reason why you can't, as a man, Hannah, I'm sorry, Hannah. The reason why I can never give you perfume, because what smells good? If I went in Macy's and I said, "Oh, this smells good. I'm gonna get this for my woman." You get it home and she sprays. It may not mix with her body chemistry.
Right.
You know what works for your body chemistry. Smell is a very, very intimate part of being with somebody, believe it or not.
Yes.
And so it's not the draws, it literally is your skin. And when you're around somebody an extended period of time, every household even has its own individual smell, believe it or not.
Right.
It depending on your habits, what you cook, things like that. And so I don't care about washing your clothes. I know what you smell like. And it makes a difference when your body chemistry comes in contact with something foreign. I know. We know. Take that to the bank.
Can I say this about the separation thing? I want to talk about separation because I know y'all say it is cheating if you're separated. But in my previous relationship, first of all, when we got married, we were long distance. And so when we got separated, he was in Maryland, I was in Texas, and he was cheating on me in Maryland. And so I felt like when we were separated, we were working through our way to get through the divorce. We knew we were getting a divorce. So I just feel like in that situation,
I'm only saying technically.
Yeah, me too.
And it's definitely case by case. Because
right. I'm only saying technically. I'm only saying it in a technical sense.
I don't think it's cheating.
I'm only saying technically.
Yeah, me too.
Because for me, technically, if you're not around, you know, if a tree falls and you don't know about it, how you know it fell? So if she goes out of town and I get me some, I really didn't do anything. But okay.
Well, okay. So can I just piggyback off there for one moment? I feel like if you're separated and y'all only separated to try to work through your issues, you're going through counseling, you're trying to build your marriage back, then that I might consider, okay, at this point you're cheating because you're trying to actually get to a point where you can get your marriage back. But if you're basically like, I'm done, if the judge don't hurry up and grant this divorce, then that's when I say it's not cheating. So I guess it is like,
it's very subjective, and that's why
it is, because you got some men that won't sign the paper, and they might like, oh, you got someone that might not sign the paper.
All those circumstances,
and they're just holding you up.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, like you said, it's circumstantial, it's situational.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that tells you we could probably go on another hour on this.
An hour on that subject.
We can move on.
We're gonna go on to, do men rate women on a scale? And Candace, tell us why you wanted to, where you came with this topic from.
Okay, so I chose this topic because, you know, right now Kevin Samuels is blowing up, and actually my views, when I talk about him, I get so many views and I get cussed out by these red pill men. Kennard knows about the red pill men, but right now Kevin Samuels is like booming, and he rates women, and he said every man rates women, and women view themselves higher than what they really are. He does not believe in a 10. Some of the women that he rated as like 9s or whatever were women from the 80s, like Apollonia, or just because he's like, I think he's 51. But he viewed Beyonce as an 8, and every other woman, especially if you're over a size 6, if you have baggage, because he's not only looking at your looks, but he's also looking at what you bring to the table. So if you're a single mom with a child, he's automatically viewing you as average. So I want to know what you guys view, or I want to know about this whole rating system, because women, we don't rate men like that.
Okay. First of all, I disagree with you on that, but I'm gonna come to that at the end. Women rate men; they always have and they always will. But okay, I'm gonna come back to that. But before we get into it, I want to add to this conversation by bringing up the urban rating scale that I found this online, what I thought was interesting, so that we can, because what's the difference between a 1 and a 10? You know, we know it's all subjective anyway, but I'm gonna read this really quickly. The 1, this is according to the urban scale, is ugly by all accounts. There's nothing even plastic surgery could make you do to make this person hot. You know, 2 is generally ugly. 3, really, really drunk and shag only. So if you drunk, you'll knock her down if she's a 3. 4, you're not good looking, but this is generally because something is wrong with you, like you're fat or you're too skinny, you got a strange feature, spots or something like that, but you have potential. 5, obviously, is average. 6 says you're decent looking, but not a head turner. You know, so makeup can make you appear to come up to a 7 or an 8, you know, and then some things can make you go down. 7 is generally good looking and approachable. It says most people would see a 7 and try to talk to them. A 7 and up does not need makeup and has good features. 8, that's when you're hot. You're a head turner. You notice them immediately when they walk in a room. They have great features. Most people find them attractive. 9, this is damn near perfect. Nearly everybody agrees that they're beautiful, great face, great body. You know, pretty much everybody in a room is going to appreciate their beauty. And then the elusive 10, that's Mrs. Wedding Day. Now, this is according to the Urban Dictionary, rating them on this scale, you know. So, who do I want to start with? Let me start with Mr. Kenny. You single, Mr. Kenny. First of all, answer the original question. Do men rate women?
Yes, we do. We started rating women when we were 11, 12 years old.
Yep.
It may not have been a scale from 1 to 10, or like, oh, she fine, oh, or she all right looking, or nah, I wouldn't talk to her. I'll try to hook her up with my partner or something. So we've always rated women. Like I say, it may not have been 1 to 10, but we've always rated them
Right.
on the scale, and that's just a given fact.
Absolutely. Now, the more personal question is for you, what is it for you? Where do they have to be on that scale for you?
You talking about from the scale that the Urban Dictionary you just read, or just my personal scale?
Yeah, even your personal scale.
My personal scale.
So they may differ from what's on there.
It actually, mine was pretty close from starting from 6 on up. But now,
okay,
one to 5 was downright ridiculous. But anyway,
okay.
But I mean, yeah, I do. And for me, I like I mean, I think a 7 or 8 is that's where I look. I mean, if you're 7, to me, from 7 to 9 is interchangeable. To be honest with you, I think from 7 to 9, they're good looking women. And that's just I'm just speaking on features. Now, obviously other things come into play, but on feature wise, a 7 and 9 is pretty much the same type woman. You ask me.
Okay, so the question was already asked: is there a such thing as a 10?
No.
Why?
I don't think there's a perfect woman. I just don't. I don't think there's a 10. But she could be. I think there's 9s. I think there's a whole lot of 9s, but I don't really think there's a perfect 10. And then then it's subjective. What is a perfect 10? What is that?
Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. Last question before I move on. I'm gonna go to the married couple next. I'm gonna hold you for a second, Kennard. How many under 6s have you been with? We ain't talking about numbers, but we're talking rarely.
And this is based on the Urban Dictionary.
Based on that Urban Dictionary.
How many under 6s have I been with?
Under 6s. Mm-hmm. I want to see where these ladies fall into the picture.
Probably 2.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
That I would honestly say that the liquor was talking. I can't even front.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, Bert, man. I know you got your fiance sitting there, but I know you had a pass as well.
Definitely.
So let's start with the first question. Do you rate women?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I rate them.
Okay.
Definitely. I'll piggyback off of what he said as far as being perfect. I don't really look for a 10, because for me to look for a 10 for a woman to be perfect, that means I gotta be perfect.
Look at her face. I'm listening.
We see you, Hannah. We see you.
You say for you to look for a 10, you have to be perfect.
Yeah, because I mean, if I'm putting that on one, if I'm saying like, all right, I'm looking for a dime, then I gotta be the same as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't think nobody out there is perfect, because guess what? If you're saying that she's a 10, then everybody has a flaw.
Don't answer.
Everybody has a flaw.
No, I won't answer.
Somebody said don't answer, Bert.
No, you know what it is? Because we have to be real, and I'm comfortable in my own skin, and Shahana knows that. She knows I'm comfortable, and she can say whatever she has to say as much as I can say what I have to say, and we can do it with respect. But at the end of the day, there's nobody out there that's perfect.
Okay.
Because I can be like, oh, she's a 10. The next she can piss me off. And I'm like, shit, she ain't no damn 10. Get the hell out of here. You can downgrade her to a 7, 8.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At that time, it's the way I'm feeling. So that's why I say I'll grade on a curve.
I'm glad you said that. What for you makes a woman a 7 and up? Because I hear that expression. My nephew who's on, he only dates women in a 7 and up club. So grading on that curve, what makes a woman a 7 and up for you?
Oh, looks, how the way she carries herself.
Booty.
Yeah, definitely that. I'm an ass man all day, every day.
Yes, sir.
I got a little sidetracked there. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But that's what I look for. I mean, you got to have that confidence. You got to have them smarts. You know what I mean? Iron sharpen iron. I want you to make sure you can challenge me, but I want you to have that looks too, because I want something to look at when I come home. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I judge. That's how I look at it. That's how I rate.
Okay. Kennard, same question. Do you rate women?
I mean, I rate them, but I like the curve thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so me and Candace have actually talked about this before, to where you have the absolutely terrible chicks, and then you have that area, because I don't do the number scale. I do the area where you have the chicks that you can get away with. You know what I'm saying? The chicks, the women you can get away with bringing to the picnic. The bros ain't gonna talk too bad about you. You know what I'm saying? But you can get away with it. It's probably not somebody that you're gonna marry. It's probably the you know, the underrated chick that you met at the library in college that ain't nobody checking for.
Right.
She's low key got it going on, but she's not the 10, but she's super cute.
Right.
Get away with her, but
Okay.
her level of confidence, she just doesn't have that it factor that's going to take you to the next level, as to say, okay, this is who I'm gonna be with. And then you have the woman to where when you meet her and you're like, I can't let this get away.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there are 3 layers of this. There's the chicks that I have dealt with before.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Matter of fact, there was this one particular case that, I mean, I had all kind of stuff, positive stuff going on. And then I reverted back to some unnecessary, overweight. Matter of fact, this woman was so terrible that I don't know. It was just bad. It was just really, really bad. Had no business. Actually, was with a really significant. I ain't gonna say no dime on whatever, because that's bullshit too. But with a really legitimate chick, and then I get with this chick the next day unnecessarily. I don't know why I did it.
Okay.
That's when I was young. I didn't give a shit. I just did what I did.
Okay.
But then you get that spectrum to where you have that woman that you can get away with. You take her to the picnics. You can take her to the family gatherings. Your family ain't gonna talk too bad about you.
Mhm.
But then there's that woman that takes it to the next level, to where you say, you know what, I might need to give this a try. Now, I will say this, and I ain't trying to, sunshine pump this thing. But when I took Candace out on a date, it was a date, the first date we went on, when we went out, and I was like, she had on this brown jacket, and we were about to go to what was it, Buffalo Wild Wings, in this country ass town that I lived in, Valdosta, Georgia. And when I saw her whole thing, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole,
I feel you. I feel you.
yeah,
I feel you.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, we got you.
and
Yeah.
it's not like I was in love, but it was, man, I might be able to stick around for a little bit on this one. And as it turned out, we went on that date, and things started to kind of go to the next level. And this was somebody that I could more than get away with. This is somebody, see, there are levels. I don't think it should be like ratings. I think it should be levels, whether it's maybe educational background, maybe it's the way this person presents themselves, maybe it's the way, okay, when I have this person, I know no one is going to question, did I, like when you go to your corporate, I'll say this. If you're in corporate America and you have these Christmas dinners, these Christmas events, or these events,
Right.
so you have to bring your significant other. Don't think that your higher ups are not looking at who you bring.
Very true. Very well. All that matters certainly in that that environment.
Are you going to bring a Tatiana up in there, or are you going to bring? See, here's the thing: the Tatiana is the person at the corporate dinner that you slide in on the back end. If y'all got a hotel, or you slide her in on the back end. Mm-hmm. But the real person that you are with,
okay,
you want to represent you, you're going to bring those people out in public. And that's the beyond getting away with kind of chick. And you can't get that. It could have different ratings for certain people. So I mean, it is what it is.
Okay. I know the ladies are listening, and so I think, at least for this panel, but I think you'll find this with all men, we absolutely rate women. Oh, yeah. The guy Kevin, he's accurate. I'm sorry, that part is accurate. Sure,
can I say this?
Go ahead.
I want to speak my piece, and excuse my child. I'll say this: we as women, we don't rate men on a scale. Like if that was the case, men would look at it as us rating you on your money scale versus what you look like. Because you can look like trash, but if you make 7 figures, oh, we're on your arm. So that's the idea. But Hannah, I'll say this: I don't think Hannah has
I'm looking at the reactions.
I
I'm
don't think
looking at
Hannah
them
has
too.
ever rated somebody on a scale. I don't rate a man on a scale. I don't. And we as women, this is why we view ourselves as 10. Because I'll say this: as a Black woman, it is very hard to be found attractive when your whole life you're brought up to believe that white is better. And so that's where the Black girl magic comes in, which I don't agree with, but that's where Black girl magic comes in, and this whole viewing yourself having this higher confidence because already you are told that you're not beautiful. You're told that you don't deserve everything that the white woman has. You're a baby mama. What are you doing with having a husband? Because people look at me and my husband when we're out. First of all, they're surprised that I've been married twice. Secondly, they're surprised that my kids have like the same father. So it's a lot stacked up against us. And so when we're saying a 10, it's not a superficial 10. It's more as a 10 as in how we are as a person like value, and also our, I guess, looks as well. I don't feel like women are that superficial. I really wish men weren't. When we're looking at you, haven't y'all been told that men are all about looks and we're all about more about emotions and all this other bullshit? So it's just funny to me. It's funny to me that y'all are saying that we view y'all on these looks. And let me go to Brittany, because Brittany said we really don't view y'all on a scale as well.
Y'all need to start to tell the truth now. Y'all
And
just lying up here.
she said, for example, Jay-Z is not a looker, but he got beat.
No, but that's not what we're saying.
Yeah,
We were saying
Can I interject as
you
one?
would rate Jay-Z what he look. You would rate him. He's not attractive, right?
Thank you.
Hell no.
Exactly.
Hell no.
So you rated him.
Woman.
Please.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
I'll say this, Hannah. I'm sorry, Hannah, not to cut you off, but I found Jay-Z attractive, and it wasn't because of his money. I like the way he rapped. So sometimes women we might like that guy because he's funny, and that might make him more attractive. Sometimes, have you ever heard of the saying that people grow on you? I feel like we as women are always giving men pass, but they are so critical of what the hell we look like. I wanted to cuss and say something else because I'm so upset right now.
Okay. Let it out, cousin. Go.
All
Okay,
right.
well,
Go.
I have an opinion. I'm not gonna lie. I rate. I'm point blank in the period. He knows this.
Mhm.
I had a scale one time. I said I never did light skinned men. I mean, clearly, doesn't count. But I mean, we rate. I'm not gonna say I don't, because I don't care how much. I've never been big on money. Like, never. I guess because I've always considered myself trying to make my own money. That's why I moved out my parents' house.
And I was gonna say, Hannah, as a Black woman, we can't be big on money because it's like we know the disadvantages that Black men have. So why would we be so big on money? If you find a Black woman that's big on money or whatever, she's lost. I'm gonna just tell you that now, and that's me saying that.
Okay. So I mean, I'm going to be honest. I rate. I'm not saying it's a good thing. But if I don't care how much money you have, you cannot look like Flavor Flav. And I'm like, oh, I don't care if you got $2 million. I'm gonna have you on mark. Now I did date someone who was okay. Okay. I was going through a time when I dated someone prior to him that everyone asked me what the hell I was thinking, because I don't have a type, but that was okay. Well, I don't need looks.
But you do have a type.
I don't have a type.
You said you wasn't going to date light skinned men.
Okay, that was
Word, right, fellas?
Okay.
I heard that.
Okay, you're light. We're engaged. You're mine. I'm yours. Okay, that was the young me, the younger me, the 20s me. So I had a type that I can only do this and that. But I'm not going to say I don't rate. I cannot say that, because we like certain things. Like, I rate on looks, education, body. I mean, I like arms. I'm not going to sit here and lie. So we do rate on a certain part.
Rating.
Like,
let me say this, Hannah. Is it rating or is it your preference? That's the difference.
I rate
because we have
because if you-
preferences,
no.
but we're not rating you.
I do both because
let me
I'm
get
gonna
in
tell you
here. Let me
point
get
blank
in here.
period. I've been with one person who was a 4. A 4, a strong 4, only because of the height made him a 5, maybe.
So ladies, ladies, let me get in here because originally this was supposed to be me. Y'all was supposed to learn something here, but I appreciate your input. You know,
Right?
and Hannah, Candace, Brittany. Okay,
Right.
you know,
They hijacked.
so
Well, you
right,
see,
you
Tasha,
right.
Tasha disagrees
He's
with us.
coming in. So, right. So let me say this. First of all, it's absolute bullshit that women don't rate men. That's absolute bullshit.
I said we
You
do.
know,
Yes, it is.
that's number one.
Straight
I've
up.
been fortunate in my whole life to have as my very closest best friend women, and oh my God, that's where I learned so much from
Me too.
what the guy's shoes and what he dressed and this and that. And Terry, my nephew, brought up a good point. He too short, he too tall. You got to have a big dick. He got to make money. He got to do this. He got to this that. And it has nothing to do with age.
Can I say this?
No, let me finish.
You know?
Older women have just as many unrealistic standards as younger women
It's
have.
a preference. It's
Let me-
not a
I'm-
rating.
I'm coming to that.
It's
Let me
a
come to that.
preference.
I'm glad
Go
you
ahead,
said.
bro.
I'm glad you chimed that in because women have this ability to be able to twist the facts to fit their narrative. So whether we want to say tomato or tomato, you know. So when you look at Jay-Z, that well, it's not. We're not going to rate him on a number and everything, but I like the way he makes me feel.
Facts.
As Kennard mentioned, there are levels to this.
Thank you.
It's subjective
Look
to
at-
this.
Look at
Spin
Brittany's
doctors,
comment.
all the ultimate spin doctors.
Look at Brittany's comment. That's the only scale we use is how big is his dick and how was it? That's the scale.
How was
Well,
it count?
So,
If
what, on a 1 to 10, is that what y'all using for a scale?
How?
Yes, that's the
There
only.
we go.
For me, that's the only
How?
scale we have.
Yeah.
So if
Hold on.
There you
Say that
go.
again.
I'm married, let me say this: if I'm married to my husband, clearly the scale was high.
Okay. So let me answer that personally, Brittany. Let me answer that personally. If that's the only scale, I would not have gotten as much pussy as I've gotten in my life. I ain't the biggest man out there, and I done knocked off many hoes when my dick wouldn't even get hard. And I don't care what you want to call me, because I was
bro.
in there
Cooking.
hard
That's right.
for regardless, and you still sucked it, swallowed it, did everything. So don't even come with that bullshit right
Well,
there.
let me
So,
interject real quick.
Lee, I have a thing. It was something that was brought to the forefront. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, Hannah. I'm sorry. It was something that was brought to the forefront from all this side, all that stuff. You know, is that the reason why the rhetoric goes to where women talk to the Pookies and the Ray Rays, because that's what it's all. I'm going off left field, but the rhetoric was just said. The size, as long as he makes me feel a certain way, as long as he makes me whatever, there's no difference to educational status. Well, maybe if he's a corporate thug, then maybe that'll work. But as long as he makes me feel like that bitch, then
Well, damn.
I'm just
say
saying.
it. Say it, Kennard.
Go ahead, cook.
Because I was listening to it. As long as he makes me feel like, you know, and the crazy part about it is we're talking about educated women that feel this way, that, you know, that really aren't checking for the quote unquote, I don't want to call them educated lames, but it's like y'all, we brought up a good point. We brought up a good point to where, yeah, having a good job and being an upstanding citizen and is going to vote for Ron Osnoff in the next election in Georgia is a good guy. But is it really true that with women all across the board, no matter what the education status is, you just want somebody that's about to slang that thing?
Yeah, let me say this: if we rated men on a rating scale, then it wouldn't be women pimped every day. Like, all y'all have to do is talk that talk, and it's the woman willing to walk that walk.
Okay,
No,
let me say this. So number one, Kennard transition right into the perfectly into the next topic about do men even give a damn about your degrees, you know. But to answer that last point, please don't tell me that you don't think pimping don't happen by women. Pimping happen every day, even from a woman's point of
I
view,
know. I
you
used to
know.
want to be a pimp.
Well,
So,
women are the women
so
are
it goes both
the
ways. So it
women are
goes
the
both
biggest
ways.
pimps. They
So
the
it goes
biggest
Can I
both
say
ways.
one thing though?
Pimping.
Please,
Yeah.
come on.
Okay, so I'm going back to size matters. Yes,
Go
yes, size matters. However, if you have a Titanic and you don't know how to work it, that counts. We rate that. Like you can have the biggest one known to man, being the Guinness Book of World Records. But if you don't know where to put it, how to put it, what to do with it, then it's just a waste of equipment.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely.
So we do have okay.
Absolutely. I
we
agree.
do rate different ways. But I
Absolutely.
think
Right.
I'm a woman who says I think we rate on looks as well. I mean, women out here saying we don't rate on
Thank
looks.
you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I agree.
I rate on looks. I rate
Thank
on
you. Thank you.
preference.
Thank you.
I rate on body
We-
type. I mean, we rate. So
We know what happens.
if we don't rate, I disagree with the we don't rate.
Thank
We
you.
rate.
So
It
we
might
gonna
be different scale than men, but we do it in our own way. So we
Thank
do
you.
put y'all in a certain basket, and you have to fit up to it. Now, what is some men that you can have no degree, no job, no license, you driving a car, but if you putting that thing down,
Yeah, they
I
dick,
mean, then
dick
it's that-
dumb. Dick dumb.
okay, some women can be digmatized.
Dick dumb.
But I mean, it happens.
Just like
It
making
happens.
pussy whip.
They can be.
Right.
Definitely can. But I think
that's
Well,
why we're gonna
well,
go to this next subject.
digmatized.
That's why we're gonna go to this next subject because as we see, Candace, you could turn either one of these topics into a full show with no issue whatsoever.
Mhm.
Promise you. So we're gonna transition into do men even care about a woman having a degree and all the things that she accomplished and things of that nature? So I want to establish a couple of things right off the top because I want to be set a base that we can agree. I work in education. Women outnumber men when it comes to education. So I think we can all agree there, you know, that by and large, they're getting their degrees at a much faster rate than men do. You know, I deal with this every single day. That's a part of my struggle is that I have a push to get African-American men in particular to get higher education. It is an unbelievable challenge to try to convince guys. There's a wall built up, and then in African-American communities, we don't value education at the level that we should. Somebody is more likely to get cheered on for coming out of jail, you know, than they are for getting a degree, you know. So it's a generational thing. There's all those reasons, but we're not going to go into that part. So we know that women, they have these accomplishments. They get their degrees, higher education. A lot of them put a lot of energy into accomplishing all these things and then decide to kind of go back and all of a sudden they want to find their mate. So as men, I want to ask the guys, you know, where do we stand on this? Does it even matter to you? Do you think it matters to men about a woman having her being more educated and having all these accomplishments and things of that nature? Kennard, you got your hand up. You want to go first?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I can go first, but I didn't do that as a
Oh, you go ahead, my brother. You can go ahead.
I'll tell you what, you know, in psychology, you know, when it talks about education and, you know, open-mindedness and things like that, they actually talked about, you know, some statistics may show that the more educated the chick is, the more freakier, the more willing that they are able to or willing to explore. So in that part of the subconscious part of it, men don't really think about that, but there are a lot of educated women that have degrees, that have accomplishments, that can meet a man's needs in there. You know what I'm saying? So now when you come into a man trying to go tit for tat about your degree or tit for tat about how much money you make, then that might kind of skew the line a little bit.
Okay.
But there are plenty of educated women out there, unbeknownst to what a lot of men may think, that get that. I'm talking about when you go to a club, for example, and let's just say it's kind of a college gathering, of a homecoming type situation. You can have Kamala Harris in there backing that thing up, a Kamala Harris type. You let Cash Money represent for the 99 and 2000 come on, and you forget about that degree. You know what I'm saying? So I think at times, I think the only reason why we say we don't care about the degree is when you throw it in our face.
Okay, good point.
That's the only time we care about it. Like, you
Okay.
know, as long as you keep your degree at bay, and it's not like, say for instance, my wife is very well accomplished. She has a degree from Tuskegee University, one of the I would say the Ivy League of Black colleges. Some of the most accomplished people in America come from Tuskegee University. But I can say, she never threw it in my face. But I'm very well versed with Tuskegee because I'm from there.
Right.
But at the same time, she doesn't just say, "Well, I got a degree and you went to Auburn," because the Auburn they can't play. The football team sucks.
Right.
She's never done that. But at the same time, I think where the education starts to become a factor is when women push that as their main agenda. And I've had women do that before.
Gotcha.
And it was a big turnoff. And
Okay.
I dipped.
Okay.
What-
Bert. Okay. Bert, what do you I'm sorry.
Love the fact that you're accomplished, but you don't have to keep bringing it up. I see you
Absolutely.
move out.
Absolutely.
I see
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
But-
Totally with that.
I can't be intimate with your Range Rover.
I love it.
Right.
Love it. Good
I
point.
totally agree.
Word. And
Bert,
I
get
feel,
in here.
yeah, I feel the same. You could be as accomplished as you want to be, but don't throw it up in my face or be condescending about it. You know what I mean? I love an educated woman. I mean, get what you can get, but at the end of the day, don't make me feel small if I'm not at that level that you reached, because I really don't care. I really don't care about that, because you can have all the degrees in the world and still be a dumbass, to tell you the truth.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, as far as the way you act and whatever the case might be, but at the end of the day, if you have all these degrees, you have all these accomplishments, God bless your soul. It doesn't matter to me. But as long as you treat me right, or you don't come down on me, then I'm straight. We good.
I love it.
I
love it. Kenny, we gonna bring it home, man.
Yeah.
You got one married brother, so and he's married to a beautiful, educated woman.
Yeah. Who happens to be my cousin?
You got an engaged brother, and I would hazard to guess your fiance is an educated woman. I can tell by the way she talk. I'm in education. Me and you out here in this struggle right now, Kenny.
We out here.
Let this question hit differently for us. Does it matter to you about a woman's degrees and education?
I'll be honest with you. I agree with what both Bert and Kennard said. Totally agree with that. But honestly, that don't move me. A woman's educational accomplishments don't move me. It doesn't pique my interest. My thing is, that's cool that you got that, and I respect that, and that's cool. But I mean, some of the most educated women, man, can be some of the most difficult women to deal with sometimes.
Absolutely.
Because they already said, I got mine. I don't, and they kind of let you know sometimes, I don't need you, which is fine. I don't want you to need me anyway. I want you to want me at the end of the day. So, but far as that, man, no, I don't even ask a woman's do you have a degree? I don't even ask that. I don't even ask her that when I first meet her. That's the last thing I even ask.
That's why I said, man, you're gonna bring this home. Tell me about your experiences when you date. I'm sorry.
You say, Candace?
Candace, you had something?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I had something to say, and my signal might be lost. But I have met men that are like doctors and lawyers that only want to date other doctors and lawyers that are women. And so this is interesting to me to see this, because to them, the degree matters. And so like Kennard said earlier, sometimes you don't want to show up with that Instagram model to your corporate office party. You want to show up with someone that is equally yoked, I guess, that has the same degree as you, that knows how to talk and knows how to be quiet when they need to be. And so as a woman that is degreed, I've never thrown my degrees in my husband's face, because to me, I'm a woman first. So I feel like, I don't know, I have my degrees and my accomplishments for me. I don't need it to rule over my husband. So I don't think every woman is trying to put that in a man's face, but that is something that is an accomplishment for us, though, just as a woman.
We're not disagreeing on that.
We're not disagreeing, and
we're not disagreeing on that. Go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean,
so which leads to the question I was going to ask.
Yeah,
that's why I was going to ask you.
Right. I don't mean to say that's
no. And that's nobody said that.
Especially black women. I ain't gonna do that. But I mean,
but that's where I was going with this, Kenny. But that's where I was going with this because you and I, we out here to dating. We haven't found our Mrs. Magic yet. So for you, that's where I was going with this. From your experiences out here in this dating thing, I don't know how long you've been looking single, what the case might be, but do you have better experiences with women that are higher educated or not so? What's your experience?
I mean, I've had my experience. That I've talked to are college educated, most, but then there's some that don't have a degree, but they have some college experience. So I mean, it just varies. Like I said, but I have had a few that let me know that they got masters and they get PhD.
Which experience is better?
Yeah.
Which experience is better?
My experience was better with those that may not even had a degree.
Okay. So of course I want to give my take on matters. I'm educated, contrary to the way I may come off, I'm an educated fool. I have my master's in business administration, also went to seminary school. A lot of people don't know this, but I was a preacher, traveling preacher in my early life. I was a minister, believe it or not, as much as I curse and all that stuff. So I could quote the Bible, verses back and forth, was a good speaker, toured the country, giving speeches, things of that nature. So I love to talk. That's what led to my professional experience in management, 25 years, things of that nature. So I'm an educated guy. I'm also street educated. I'm from Harlem, New York. I grew up in the projects. So I tell people I have 2 educations. My personal experience, as was mentioned, I would much rather in my personal dating life deal with a woman that's not educated. Now, to your point, Candace, yes, if I'm showing up at a business function, I'm not going to bring a thought, as Kennard said. I'm not going to be embarrassed, put myself in that position because that all matters. With that said, I keep those 2 lives separate. They don't know what I do, and that's the way I prefer to keep it because I'm on stage when I'm dealing with white corporate
America.
Let
me ask this. What if she's a lady in the street but a thought in the bed?
Now that's what I like.
That's what we like.
And that's really what I like. But with that said, that is my experience is this. Now, believe it or not, somebody said this earlier. As far as having my experiences sexually, it's easier for me to pick up an educated woman. It's been mentioned kind of throughout this panel. They don't need me for money. Typically, the women that are educated, they have better. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. These women live in houses. They drive in Range Rovers, BMWs. They make more money than I make. As we've been talking on the last conversation, they need you for the D. Can you throw the D down? Can you, because they've been handled so preciously and put on pedestals, those are the ones they want you to grab their hair, call them a nasty, filthy, no good bitch, sling them around the room and handle your business. They eat. That's what they looking for. So when I go hunting, I go hunting in Kroger's.
I mean,
because those are the easy ones to pick up that make good money. Now, believe it or not, who give me trouble when I go across town and I'm in Jonesboro and Riverdale, the chick that's working in Church's Chicken, Family Dollar, she giving me more trouble. But at the same time, I like an uncomplicated, simple woman that when she comes to these stores, I work hard every day. I have to mentally deal with numbskulls and all kinds of issues. So in my personal life, I like handing that woman the remote because she only gonna find a couple of channels. She looking for videos, and something simple. She ain't looking for CNN. I ain't got to discuss what's going on in politics and whether the stimulus checks is coming. That woman, I can give her whatever the hell I want her to drink. She not even drinking my good liquor, but you get these expensive, educated women. Well, do you have a cult Sauvignon Blanc? Bitch, please. I ain't got time for all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I like a
let me ask
simple,
you this, Lee.
I'm an educated woman.
But there's some educated women that's simple as well. You don't think those exist?
They do.
They
It hadn't been my experience
Okay.
because of all the things we said. Because they have all these extended things. Because even when you sleep with them, well, what does it mean? And what does this mean now? When I first moved here to Atlanta, dated a woman, highly educated, Range Rover, owned the business in Buckhead. I could have took a pencil and stabbed her in her eye because it was a job just dealing with her every day. And in my personal life, I need simplicity. Come in here, roll that blunt up. Let's handle our business. 3 o'clock in the morning, get your monkey ass out of here because I got to change my sheets and go to bed.
But you hilarious, bro.
I'm sorry.
So
Go
why
ahead.
is it that a lot of people feel like it's not both out here? Like I feel like there's women out here who's educated and simple. I don't want to say myself, but I mean I'm educated. But I think I'm pretty easygoing and kind of.
That's why you're getting married. But in case you believe that there are a whole lot of you out there, there are not.
I'm not saying that I'm a certain person, but I believe it. People think I was called I'm bougie. I'm not bougie at all. I have a certain preference, but if we can go here or we can go there. Like it doesn't really matter to me.
But do you think there's a lot of women like you running around out there? Candace and Hannah, do y'all think that? Stop it.
You have me and Hannah on the show. I'm very.
But y'all are everywhere. You telling me y'all are everywhere?
No.
Yes.
Hell no.
I'm gonna say
Kennard.
I have friends.
Kennard.
You have to have a certain bank account. You have to. I have one friend. She's really gorgeous. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all don't say it's tens out here, but Tosh Baby.
Okay.
He ain't gonna say it because that's sis.
No, that's sis.
She's gorgeous.
Okay.
Okay, but my sis, you got to make a certain amount of money. You got to supply her certain right of ways.
There's that scale. There's that scale,
Right,
fellas.
there's that scale.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say it's not women out here like that, but it's also women out here it's more women out here that people don't realize are educated, do have a certain way they want to live their life, do require a certain criteria. However, they'll roll with the punches. So, I mean, but it's some men out here who don't realize that because right here.
Whatever. Yeah, you right there, but y'all rare breed. Y'all rare.
Thank you, Bird. Thank you, Bird. Thank you, Bird. Thank you, Bird. Yes, yes.
We're a rare species.
Fellas.
Yes.
Fellas.
Yes.
Go back to me on this one.
Yes, yes. Bird. Yes.
No. Can I say this though? There are women. There's some women that go for money and some women that don't. And so majority of women don't necessarily go for money. But let me tell you this: in the Bible, it says a man that don't work don't eat. So we're going for that simple man that has something going for him. I know I'm not trying to take care of a man that don't work, but if you at least have a job and I see you have back then in my 20s, if you had potential, that's what I was going for. Now in my 30s, if you didn't have potential, no, I'm not going for you. That's real talk.
Let me answer that question here. I work in education, and because I work in education, I work in a bubble because every day of my life I'm talking to administrators and academic counselors. There's a tendency sometimes to think. Let me finish, Candace.
Let them know that me and you worked at the same company.
Right. So then, Candace, you'll be able to attest to this. We sometimes live in a bubble because we work in education. There's a tendency to get lost sometimes and think that everybody's educated. But when you look at the numbers, the amount of people that have a master's degree is only at about 32%. And when you break that down to African American, and then you break it down to African American men, that goes down to about 8%. I gave people an example. If I walked into a Walmart and there's 100 people in there, and they said, everybody raise your hand who has a degree, you might have 35, 40 people hands to go up. Keep your hand up if you have a bachelor's degree. That drops to 32. Keep your hand up if you got a master's degree. You might have 8 or 10 people. I'm using it as an example because for you women who are educated, you're married, you're fiance, you're in a bubble, and because of the people you've surrounded yourself with, there's a tendency for you to think that there's so many women out there like you. There are not. There, for every one of you, there's 100 women that are shaking their ass and giving that pussy up for $40.
And
That's the going rate, baby. That's the going rate.
Yeah, and got OnlyFans on Instagram.
Bam.
$40.
$40 is the going rate. That's the going rate.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe it's
I
just
don't know nobody giving
because
up
I'm
$40.
like me.
See, she's in a bubble.
Yeah.
She's in this
I'm sorry.
$40.
For
$40, baby.
$40. That's gas.
But let me say this.
now,
Just
now
get back to
if you go to the Piggly Wiggly pig.
yeah. Let me say this real quick. As far as the education, me personally, I don't have a college degree. I mean, I went to college, but you know, life experiences happen. I got married, had kids, but I got a lot of work experience in a certain field that I'm in right now. So I got a lot more work experience. But I will say this about a woman: I'd rather be with a woman that has a high level of intelligence. I'm not saying she got to be off the scale, and we can hold a conversation, than somebody that has like 4 or 5 degrees. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't move me. If we can communicate and speak and talk, and we can talk intelligently to one another, that's more important to me than a woman having a degree. Because a degree doesn't measure your intelligence anyway.
It really doesn't.
Preach,
It
bro.
really doesn't. It really doesn't.
That was good. You could have said no better.
So Candace, to answer that question so we can move to the next one, we don't care about your degrees and accomplishments as men. We want somebody we can get along with. That's all.
That's all.
Pretty much.
That's
Pretty
very
much.
simple. Very simple equation.
Yep.
There you go.
Get along.
Bring that next topic in here. What are some things that you look for when choosing a mate? Now, of course, we know this is completely subjective,
Mhm.
you know, right there, because every guy is going to look for something different, you know. But I like this question in a sense because it's going to put two of you guys right here on the spot, you know, because one's married, the other's is a fiance. So I'm gonna ask it in a different way for you than I would ask it for me and Kenny. I'm gonna start with you, Bert. What did you look
Out
for?
the camera.
No, okay, well,
No, you better
know,
stay right
yeah,
there.
that's what I'm saying. What did you look for to make you know that this is that there's a difference between somebody you kick it with, somebody you marry? What were the traits and qualities that you looked for that said this is the one I want to marry?
Basically, how the way she interacted with my people, and how the way she interacted with my sons, and it was and we had this discussion. What was this, like last Saturday?
On his time, he just told me
last Saturday, and I said the linchpin for me was that she went beyond and was caring about my dad, his well-being, insurance. It was a lot of things that nobody had even brought up before of caring about my parents.
Wow.
That was it for me. That sealed the deal for me.
Wow.
Because I was like, wow. I was like, you went next level. You know what I mean? Because it's all right. You can kick it with the kids, and you know what I mean. That you good with them, but to care about them, or care about their life, I was like, wow. You're the one. You know what I'm saying? You're the one. And all the other traits that she carried as far as being smart, pushing me to the next level, wanting to be better than what I am. That's what I was looking for. You know what I'm saying? And not looking for anything in return.
Oh,
that's what
I love this question because I hope your female viewers are listening, because I'm glad he's not bringing up the typical, oh, she did. Those are real shit that he talking about, pushing him to be better, caring about his family beyond just the kids. Thank you, man. I tell you, thank you. Thank you.
Log off now because I'm
That's what I'm talking about, my brother.
That's dope.
Right?
That's dope. Yeah.
Kennard, what was it for you in terms of characters and traits that said this is the one? I know you told us the story already that when you got a chance to step back and see it in a full glory, That
Right.
was the first part where you said, I can't walk away from this. But what was it beyond that that said, I got to marry this woman?
Well, a lot of the conversations were great. I could tell we had a lot in common, and she may not remember this, but I remember I told her about my siblings that I was, that I hadn't talked to in a while. My brother DeCory and my sister Drina. I talked about them casually, and next thing you know, she's like, "Well, why don't you reconnect with them on Instagram or Facebook or whatever the case may be?" And she's the reason that me and my brothers and sisters reconnected. And actually, this
Wow.
Thanksgiving, I got to see them for the first time since
Wow.
years.
Wow.
Wow.
And I will be fair, and say that although I always thought about them and I always loved them, but I'm the type of person to where I'm like my father, to where I reach out to you if you reach out to me, and if we don't reach out, I still love you. It is what it is.
I understand.
But
I understand.
but the fact that my wife now pushed that envelope, she's the reason why I reconnected with them. And another thing is, I think about times where, even career-wise, where I was kind of dropping the ball professionally. I think a man, whether they care to believe it, whether they care to want to believe it or not, they kind of sort of want or need to have a woman to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
And if you have a woman, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was so drawn to her, was because, I was kind of this pseudo alpha male, if you may want to say it, to where I kind of ran the show. But to have someone to hold me accountable legitimately, I thought that was really attractive.
I like that.
Someone that could not necessarily put me in my place, but to bring me to perspective, to say, you know what, you can actually do more than what you're doing. And that's something that OnlyFans and the Instagram models, they can't do for you. You know what I'm saying? They can't.
I love it.
All they can do is shake that ass, but they can't show you a broader perspective. I'll say this: with the life that I have with Candace, I'll say this: in being accountable for myself, I would not have been able to accomplish what I've been able to accomplish without having a wife like her.
Wow.
And man, when the kids came in, that's when I had to step my thing to a whole nother level. Because when I'm at work, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm representing for my daughter. I want my daughters to say, that's my daddy.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when they see me, my daddy runs shit. You know what I'm saying? And that, I get a kick out of that. And I will say this: I did not get promoted until I had my first child. You know what I'm saying? I would have never achieved some of the things that I achieved without that motivating factor. Because just like, and I know you're a Bible guy, it's like, and God made man in his own image. When I see my children, that's my image. That's my gift to the world. And I got to make sure I represent to make sure that gift knows where their father came from, and that when they look at their daddy, they're like, oh, you know what? That's my daddy. He does this. Right. He does that. And I got to live every day for that. So yes,
I love it.
I just, that's the real stuff. The OnlyFans, the Instagram, the shake that ass and the blue flame, that only lasts for so long.
Yes, sir.
But the stuff that lasts for generations, I mean, the latter part of what I'm talking about, that's the real stuff.
Absolutely.
It's sustainable.
Absolutely. Kenny, my brother, I'm divorced, you divorced. I don't know if you would ever do it again or not, but what is it that you would look for you to do it again? Or even not get married? We're not gonna make just marriage.
Mhm.
That's the be all end all, But
Right.
what would it take for you to be back in a, exclusive relationship? What traits and qualities you look for?
I look for it. I've been divorced 7 years. I divorced in 2013. I was married for 19 years. So
Wow.
it took me some time in
Wow.
between my divorce. It took me some time to get over that. And I think that's going to be the next topic. So I'm not going to, I'll delve into that later.
Okay.
But
Okay.
what the traits I look for in a woman, be honest with you, she got to have a sense of humor, first of all. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm 51 years old. And I like to, I'm a comedian at heart, or at least I think I am. So
Right.
some of my stuff be corny, but I like to laugh. I like to be silly. You know what I'm saying? So she has to have a sense of humor. First of all, she has to be my best friend. I just going back to my first marriage, I think we weren't friends first. So she has to be my homie, my lover, and my friend. That's definitely, I have to be comfortable with opening myself up to you. I have to be, not afraid to share my deepest emotions and my deepest thoughts with you. So she got to be that. And we just got to be, she got to be we got to be a team. We got to work together, me personally, because I always say teamwork makes the dream work.
That's right.
We can't be off balance. We got to be balanced. We got to find that, because some things a woman can do better than me. She's going to be able to do some stuff better than I can. And then there's going to be some things I can do better than she can. So we got to figure that out, and we come together and we work it that way.
I
So
love it.
that's the physical attribute. She got to have a big booty.
Word. You know I'm in agreement with that.
Make that a 3 for her.
And she has to, and I like to work out too. So she has to, I'm not saying she has to be in there with me all the time, but she has to be willing to come and work out a little bit with me. So anyway, but
Absolutely.
Yeah.
big booty's
Can I
gonna
Can I answer the Blue Flame question? Because they're asking about it.
Okay.
Blue Flame is a strip club here in Atlanta. It's a strip
Oh,
club.
I know.
Yes,
Oh, I
sir.
know.
Yes, sir.
So
They
Blue
don't
Flame,
know about it. Yes, sir.
yeah,
I
I
know about
like going to I like going to strip clubs as well, and yes, that's the strip club to go to, Blue Flame. So that's what
Okay.
Tanar meant when he said getting past that, the stripper world, I guess.
Right.
I already knew about Blue Flame. Tila wrote. He rapped about
My nephew was asking that question because they don't live here, so they're like,
Oh,
what
okay.
is Blue Flame? So yes, sir. So to round out for me, look, I love you guys' answers, and I'm single. Now, Kenny, I've been divorced for over 20 years.
Wow.
I got married at way too young. It was unfair to my wife, beautiful woman. I'm glad she's found happiness on her third marriage. I like to think that she was looking
the
looking
third
replacement.
marriage.
Yeah, so
Not
So,
third. I thought a little shade there.
I'm just
I
saying.
did
I'm
too.
just saying.
You being
I'm
petty.
just
Jack.
saying.
You being petty.
I would like to think she's still looking for me, but okay. I never had a bad breakup. I'm actually good friends with every last ex of my good friends.
Me too.
So I've been very fortunate. I've never had a messy breakup kind of deal. Having said that, I don't necessarily know if I would remarry again. Now, in terms of what it would take to be in a serious relationship, I loved all of the answers because that was the real stuff. We could sit here and talk about, she got to be this and she got to be that. And I always like to try to bring some articles when I'm doing these topics. So the 5 that I brought up real quick, and I'm not going to go into in detail in any of them, but it talks about exposure and familiarity, physical attraction. All of us agree we got to have that big booty. Personality and character, proximity, similarity. When I encapsulate all that down, like you said, Kenny, and like you said, Bert, I want somebody that gets me. I'm an opinionated asshole. I know this. Very difficult person to be with. So I need somebody that gets me and lets me be me, And so that takes a certain kind of woman to deal with all of my little idiosyncrasies and my little things that make me would be just for her, And it takes somebody to be able to come in And like you said, number one, we have to work as a team. You know that old expression my mother says, well, you can do bad by yourself. If you can't add to what I'm trying to do, then what I need you for.
Right.
I already cook better than most women. When I was married for 8.5 years, we were together for 10. I did all of the domestic stuff. I did the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, all this stuff. My wife did the outside stuff, mowing the grass and stuff. I don't do yard work and any of that kind of stuff. So our marriage was kind of flip-flopped. So I'm saying that to say, any woman that comes into my world, I don't need you to cook for me. I can iron, sew. I love going to the grocery store. I enjoy vacuuming. I'm like a neat freak, all those things. I don't need you for that. I need you to get me, my sense of humor, to have some things in common with me. You have to have just the right amount of intelligence, but assholishness too, because I need that in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I need you to be spiritual, not religious. There's a difference.
There's a big difference.
There's a difference.
Yes,
And so those are the things that for me that it would take, and quite naturally, you have to be extra, extra nasty in bed because I'm too far gone to be dealing with some virgin at this stage of my life. So,
Well, you said extra, extra,
extra, extra.
Man, you can whip them, you can teach them.
Right, but it can't be no amateur though. It cannot be.
Right,
Look,
right.
This gonna sound crazy. I want the woman who's already had a threesome, already done a videotape, because I don't want somebody that's still wanting to do those things. Get that out of your system so we can be real nasty together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, that's word.
So that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to have to wonder if you still got some unfulfilled fantasies out there. You know what I'm saying? That you want to do with other people. If you want to be extra, extra nasty, let's go in the graveyard and screw. Let's go in the church and screw. Let's do all those filthy, nasty, debased things. I'm with that.
Right.
So,
That's word. I can't even.
What's BBL?
So that brings us to our final topic, and I'm gonna start with you, Kenny, because you left off there, and you was getting ready to go into a little bit more detail about either being married or divorced and what's been your experience. And as we close it out, I'm gonna let you start off, my brother. What's been your experience with those?
Well, my ex-wife and I, I was 23. She was 18 when we got married. We had 3 beautiful kids. We had only known each other a year. The thing with us was, I would say, the marriage wasn't really just bad. I can't say it was bad, but I also knew the older we got, we just grew apart. We were totally 2 different people. And that, that happens, but we were so young. So we hung in there for the wrong reasons. I would say that we stay, a lot of people do this, you stay there for the kids. And I would tell any married couple, if it ain't working, don't stay there for the kids, because the kids pick up on your energy. They pick up on that bad energy.
I agree with that.
If they don't see mom and dad being like a married couple should be, just little playful things, if they can tell that y'all hardly talk. That's what they look at as what a marriage should be like. Now they're gonna carry that. What they saw from their parents is like, okay, this is how a marriage should be. So we ended up. I actually filed because honestly, I don't think she would have ever filed because she was comfortable because I was taking care of everything. She ain't had to do nothing, so she was comfortable. So I actually said, you know what? I told her this. I said, I love you enough to let you go because this isn't working for me. And I said, and it's not working for you. You don't want to admit it, but it's not working for you. So we divorced in 2000, finally got the divorce. We separated a couple of times during our marriage, but we finally divorced in 2013. And that was a difficult time for me because I had just lost my mother in 2005. So I was dealing with a bad marriage in 2005 and losing my mother. So once the divorce was final, I just felt alone. I was just like in a bad place. So, and I specifically said that I would not carry any baggage into another relationship. So I haven't really truly dated since 2013 because I wanted to heal myself. I went to counseling and stuff like that. So because I also knew that I don't want to destroy another woman because a lot of times we don't heal ourselves. And what we do is we jump from women to women and we damage good women. And I
Yes,
said
sir.
I didn't want to be that guy to do that.
Yes,
So I
sir.
specifically didn't date. I really
Wow.
just trying to get my feet in the game now about a year ago. So
Wow.
far as would I be married again? Would I do it again? I'll be honest with you, it's not high on my priority list, but I also say never, because you never know. You might meet that one and make you change your mind. So
True.
I'm open to it, but I'm not just out there seeking to say I want to get married again. So
I got you.
that's been my experience.
Okay. All right.
Facts, Kenny. I like that thing.
I love it.
Okay. All right.
Bert, you were married before, right?
Yes, I was. I got married at a very young age. I believe I was 20 when I got married. 2 great kids, but I didn't know myself.
Mm-hmm.
Neither did she.
Mm-hmm.
It ran its course. I'll go to one case in particular. It got really volatile, and I'm a type of person where I'd rather just go ahead, leave, go out for a walk, go drive somewhere, just clear my head.
Mm-hmm.
And she wound up grabbing me, and the kids saw that. Like, she scratched me, like, while I was trying to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And they ran over to her, like, "What are you doing, Mom? What are you doing?" And that's when I knew then. I was like, wow, it really ran its course. Like, it's really getting to a point now where it's getting dangerous.
Right.
So after that, I got divorced in 2004. So it was like 16 years. It took me 16 years, but I found out a lot about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree when you were talking about going to see a therapist or talking to someone, because you don't really want to damage. A lot of times that's a lot of things with men. A lot of times we hold a lot in,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't let that out, and then all of a sudden we'll let it out on the person that we're actually with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even their fault, but
Right.
just sometimes there might be some certain points that might be like a trigger point, and then it'll put you right back in that position where you were at when you were married.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn a lot about myself. I had to figure out my likes, and my dislikes. I also had to have what I call a mirror moment. I had to look in the mirror and also realize, like, hey, listen, man, like, you ain't sharp yourself. There's some things you need to clean up about yourself too. So it took a long time, and I'm still working on myself. I'm still a work in progress.
Like that.
But at the end of the day, one thing I will tell all the men out there, anybody that's listening, get to know yourself a little bit better. Travel around, and don't be scared to seek out. If you feel like you got some issues with you, don't be scared to talk about it, or go see somebody. Because I'll piggyback. You don't want to damage anybody, especially when it's not their fault.
Exactly.
So
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Kennard, my brother.
He's never been divorced.
Yeah, I've never been married, but I will say this: in being married, it's definitely a different kind of challenge. I think about when I was a little younger. When
We're losing your voice a little bit.
Yeah, get scoot up a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. When you're young, you are in these relationships and you have these play wives, and you play like you're married, and oh, that's my wife. No, now that I'm married for real, I realize that being actually married and being play married is totally different.
You got that right.
It comes with a serious different level of responsibility that a lot of people don't account for. For one, you have to account for who you are as a person at all times. You have to always, say, well, hey, babe, I'm here. And it's not necessarily a tracking device. It's that now that you're married to someone, you're accountable for that person. You're accountable to that person. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yes,
Your
sir.
actions you're accountable for. Because I remember when I first got married, I was still acting like I was single for so long that I was still like inadvertently say my wife perceived it as flirting, but now that I look back on it, I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that there's certain behaviors that come with being married that you got to be held accountable for. So I will tell anyone that being married is a rewarding thing, but it's a high level of accountability. Probably the most
Yes, sir.
accountable,
Yes, sir.
probably the most accountable that I've ever had to be in my life. And it's cool,
Yes, sir.
but I've had to embrace it, and you don't get it overnight. I say to any married couple that for me, the first 3 years in getting to know someone is probably the most challenging because you're trying to get to know one another, especially with me. I had been, single for so long. I'm thinking, why do you feel this way? Like this doesn't make sense. But now that I know what I know, I
Right.
understand why it makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Candace, I'm gonna go last before I turn this over to you to close out on your show, sweetheart.
Okay.
So like you, Kenny, we have a very similar experience in a way. I got married at 21. My wife was 18. My wife literally moved from her mom's house. She went from we were very religious at that time. She went one day, she was just a daughter living in her mom's house, and the next day she was a wife.
Mm.
Now it gets way more complicated than that. I had dated her mom before I dated her. And then I dated her best friend before I dated her.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
In my wedding video, the look on the faces of her mom and what was her best friend, it's hilarious to me now, when I look back on it. But that's a whole nother story. I'm actually writing a book about this. It's called The Ebony Chronicles. And the very first line in the book is when we split officially. The very first line is, I'm almost 30 years old. It says, I'm almost 30 years old. I just separated from my wife. What the hell am I going to do? That's the very first line in the book.
Mm.
And for me, I went from being a minister and all this responsibility of being a religious person and all that encompasses in the marriage. And I was so angry with God until I created an alter ego called Black. That's how Black was born.
Mm.
And I went on a 12-year mission of punishing myself, really, but I was angry with God. And when you say you don't want to damage a lot of good women, I've damaged a lot of good women out there. Oh my God, yes. Because I became everything that I really wasn't, you know. And so, because for me, I felt like I had never failed at anything in my life at that point. Growing up in New York, I was labeled a genius. I had scholarship offers to Harvard University, all this kind of stuff. I gave all of that up to be a minister. I literally had scholarships to Harvard University. I was labeled a genius in New York City. The spelling bee that's televised now on ESPN. I've won that thing 3 times. This was before all this was televised. I was the national storytelling champion. I had a radio talk show as a 12-year-old. I used to speak with Muhammad Ali and travel with Muhammad Ali and the mayor of New York. So I had these scholarships, and my family convinced me to follow God. So also I used to play and sing music. I grew up in the same building with Teddy Riley.
Oh, wow.
He was in 1G, I was in 3G. I wrote music. I used to sing. He at the crossroads of my life, Teddy Riley calls me one day, says, "Well, Freddie, I'm getting ready to go to England. I'm getting ready to produce this guy called Boy George. I need you to come with me." I did not go. I chose a life of being a minister. I went to seminary school. I was married. I was a good husband, all these things. So I was angry that I had given up so much and my marriage failed because I felt like somebody said LL Cool J. I have pictures with LL Cool J in his basement. I grew up hanging out with LL Cool J, Dougie Fresh, hung out with Heavy D, all these people. So I felt angry that people were beating their wives and cheating on their wives, and I was this good husband, and my marriage was ending. It wasn't turn out the way it was. That's a whole nother story. Wasn't any cheating. We just drifted apart. That's the whole thing. Having said that, I became Black, a monster. I was a monster out there. So at the height of doing my thing, I was an absolute monster out there. We talked about the rating system. My nephew who's just said that he only dates women in the 7-Up club. I didn't wait on sevens. I dated a couple of 3s and a 1s. I did numbers. You know, I did volume. They could be ugly. I slept with midgets, women with no legs, one legs.
Stop
I
it.
video.
Really,
I put this
bro.
on everything I hold dear. I put this on everything all the shit that R. Kelly's in trouble for. I did.
Oh
I
my
did all of those things.
wow,
I
bro.
was a monster.
Wow.
So let's come.
Yeah. We lost his audio, I think.
I can't
Oh,
hear
whack,
him.
Yeah,
yeah.
all right, we
Oh,
ran.
your connection.
Yeah. We lost you.
I can't
Yeah,
hear
Oh.
him.
can't hear you anymore.
We missed the good stuff.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
I want to hear more about the midgets.
Yeah,
What about
right.
the
Go
midgets?
out,
I wanna
go
hear
out
one
and
leg.
come
I
back
wanna hear
in.
one leg. Don't let me
Go
hop
out
there.
and come back in, Black. Go out and come back in, and then I'll see if it'll work.
Let me say this real quick, Candace, about I just want to make this mention with my divorce from my wife. My ex-wife and I are good friends. And I want to tell people, just because you divorce, sometimes obviously you can't be friends because of what happened. But my ex-wife and I are good friends. I actually give her dating advice. So that tell you it was amicable. And it can happen, you know.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah, everybody's
Common
situation
ground. Yeah,
is different,
you
so.
can be on common ground.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, okay, yeah, we
Yes.
got you.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know what happened. So I was a absolute monster, and yeah, again, I videotape shit. You know, I did. I was a person that let me see what I could get away with. I did. I slept with midgets. I just wanted to see what it was like. You know, if a woman had one leg, I went after her. You
How
know,
was it? How was
So
it though?
how was it? I want
the
to know.
sex was kind of better because the leg wasn't in the way. You just got a little stump you holding on to. So I mean, it was kind of better. Just see, but
What about the midget? What's up with the midget? I gotta know about
the
that.
sex was good with a midget, but I was embarrassed because she kept coming to my job, and it was like one of those waterhead midgets too. So anyway, that's the whole. No,
Ooh.
I
I
love it.
did a lot of shit,
Oh,
y'all.
man.
I did a lot of shit, y'all.
Oh man, my
And
brain-
but I had to like you said, and again, we as black people, we don't go to counselors, we don't see anybody about this. And my turning point for me was I got chlamydia back to back to back to back. That fourth time, the nurse said, when she looked at me, she said, "Get your ass out of here."
Damn.
And that was the moment feeling like, well, damn, because they had sat me down and I couldn't tell you who I got it from because I was out there. I was out there.
Wow.
So even when I moved here to Atlanta, I
Mhm.
tried to settle. I don't know Atlanta's history. And so
Well,
that's
I would hope you use condoms here.
by the time I got here, I wanted to be in a relationship. So that's when I dated this lady that was, you know, she had a business and that, but it was a horrible experience. Then I went from her to a banker. She was a pothead, this and that. So I knew I couldn't get back out there in Atlanta because I was running into people that didn't know the HIV status and this and that. So I've been celibate for over a year. I've been celibate for over a year.
So
How'd that
let
work
me
for
ask
you?
you this,
How'd
Lee.
that work out for you from a man
I was-
standpoint?
I was gonna say you didn't use
It was hard.
condoms.
It was no. So I use condom for sex, but not for getting head. Come on, it's big. You can't get head with a condom now. You got the raw
Yes,
dog
you
there.
can. There's
No,
flavor
no,
condoms.
no. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Who's
But
giving head
which,
with a condom?
huh?
Who's giving head with a condom?
Thank you, thank you. But here's
Right.
what I found
Right.
out.
It happens.
But here's what I found out. But here's the problem. They mouth is nastier than they snatch.
Yeah, that ooh,
Woo.
wow.
Straight up.
Oh wow.
We gonna keep it real. We gonna keep it real because I'm 52. 20 years ago, when you find a woman that gave oral sex, oh man, you guarded her like Fort Knox. You had to something special.
Yep.
Everybody does it now, and they
Yep.
way nastier than they've ever been. So their mouth is nastier than their insides now. And
Wow.
so every time I've got chlamydia, it didn't come from.
Freddie,
I'm sorry.
I'll say this: women have been giving head. So I don't know why it's this whole. It's like it's a revolution.
We're not talking about
'cause
they
it's
didn't. No. We're not talking about whether they did it or not. They didn't. There was a time when, especially with black women, they
Yes.
did it, but
I
they
don't
would
do
say,
that.
oh no, I don't give head.
I
But
don't
we
do
live
that.
in a world now where they will give you head before they would kiss you.
Yeah.
That's right. And
You
I'm
know.
around the same age as you guys, and I know what you're talking about because that wasn't big in the black
No,
community.
Candace.
It was
No.
normally with the others
Right.
that was doing that.
Right.
Black
Right.
women weren't really doing that.
So when you found somebody back then that gave head with the hard candy in their mouth, and they did all the real nasty shit that you like with the peppermints and the halls, throat lozenges. Oh no, you put her on the side like, I got me a headologist over here. I ain't sharing her with nobody.
She a throat monster.
You know, right? But now they all do it. So we live in a different world now. And so
So let me ask you this, Freddie. Back then, you weren't dating white women because apparently white women did it.
Yeah,
I
that's-
dated. I because I grew up in New York. I've dated white, Asian,
Yeah.
Puerto Rican. So I've had the privilege. Jamaican.
So
all
why?
those.
So why is it this big difference now? Because if you dated white women and whatever, that means head has been happening regardless of the
You
time.
make the point. It's always happened. I'm just trying to say to you, they didn't own it like they own it now. They did it in secret. Where now a woman now owns that. I'm down with doing a video. You can bring your boys, and I don't care who know. So we went from this being done kind of secretly, don't you tell nobody, to where now we're at a place where I don't care who knows.
It's because women are now owning their sexuality. It's nothing wrong for a woman to be sexual.
It never was.
So as long as she's doing it safely, because y'all do it all day, every day. But when a woman does it, it was like back in the past, y'all wanted this modest woman when that was a lie.
Whatever reasons you want to say, but that's where we're at, and we've got to a point now.
Marriage?
I'm sorry.
So if your significant other decided not to give you oral pleasure, would that be a deal breaker within your marriage?
Well, that's it. Ultimately, when I first cheated on my wife, and she doesn't know I cheated, but she might know if she finds this, but now, and I've talked about this before, but at the time she didn't know I cheated because I was a good, faithful husband. But my wife was raised that oral sex was a form of bestiality. That's what she was taught. And so if you're religious, you know what I'm talking about. She literally wanted to go and sit in front of a minister, what's called an elder, and ask, could she give me head? And I'm like, hell no, I'm not doing that. So anyway, that was something, because for her, she was a virgin. I was exposed to sex. My first sexual experiences, I was 7. I had sex with my cousin. So, I've been sexually active since I was 7 years old. So I was open. I had done all of these things. I married honestly to satisfy the church, because I was constantly getting in trouble.
Me too.
Because single women I had my own 3-bedroom house at 17 years old. And then women was hanging out in my house, and I was constantly getting counseled, that your brother, you shouldn't be doing this, and brother. So I married to keep the church members from off of my back, and I used to date only older women at first.
I guess I'm the complete different. I'm different from that. When my first husband is the person that taught me everything. So after we got divorced, I've learned all these tricks. And so it's like I never got that chance to experience being a hoe. So my next partner got to experience it all.
See?
And I think people are different.
Very much.
You can't.
TMI. You don't forget your cousin is on this path.
So I'm different, Candace. So I was that church girl who was like, I'm a PK.
Yeah.
So
I would target people like you, the preacher's kids.
So I'll be honest, I was big on I don't do, oral. I don't do that. I was unspoken of a woman to do that. At that time, my previous marriage, things of that nature, I was just that person who was told not to do it. It was just so wrong. So I can see how sometimes there might be something. I mean, I'm not like that now, but at that point in time, I was that person that was like, "Oh my goodness, that's disgusting."
We've come a long way now.
Yeah, so
to where it's no stigma, but it used to
bring
be.
it out of you as well. I believe that someone can actually just bring it out of you, but I mean, Oh God.
No, no, no.
Go
I
ahead.
know. I get it.
Oh, I
Go
know you
ahead.
caught that.
I get it.
I know you caught that.
But that's where for me it got to a point where I had to shut when I revamped Real Talk for Real Men, it was for that reason. I found myself, I was lost, and I don't understand the dating scene out here anymore. It's very dangerous. So I just decided to shut everything down. So shows like this for me, this whole journey for me has been very therapeutic because I get a chance to kind of talk about things, so I don't have to go to a psychologist or whatever. I get to talk to the public. My stuff is out in the open,
Right.
But
Right.
like you said, Bert, and Kenny, I'm building myself back up,
Right.
so that hopefully I can be a better man when the right person come along, because I got a lot of demons, and I got a lot of things that, like I said, make me a nightmare to be with, and I got to get to a point where if Mrs. Right comes along, I want to be ready for it.
Right.
Financially, I'm okay in those areas, but I have all these things I'm still working out. Now, to answer somebody's question, it's at the first 3 months was the toughest months. I don't hardly think about it anymore. Now I covet being that I can pull up. My Emory Clinic is what I go to. I look at my clean bill of health like it's the most beautiful thing in the world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm
You talking about being abstinent?
being abstinent and not having any diseases.
Right.
When I pull up my little form and I can go down the list. I just went to the doctor. So now I don't want to have sex just for the sake of having sex. It has to be good sex. Has to be somebody I care. For me, the biggest thing is hygiene.
Yeah.
This new generation, their hygiene is not where it needs to be. I have not physically kissed a woman in a couple of years because, as I said, their mouths are nastier than their snatches.
You know what's
You
interesting about you talking about abstinent? I think a lot of women think men be lying when we say we can be abstinent. I was actually abstinent for 5 years after
Bless
my
you, brother.
divorce. I didn't kiss a woman. I didn't have sex. And because I'm kind of disciplined anyway because of just my makeup. And me personally, it's about quality over quantity.
I want to get there.
I ain't
Now
never
I'm there.
to
Now I'm there.
it.
Now I'm there. But I did quantity.
Yeah,
I
see,
literally did quantity.
I've never been that type of
Right
man.
here.
to
I
do
thought y'all
quantity.
couldn't go. Okay, so I mean, I thought that men. I'm one of those women that think men can go celibate that long. I know we can because I have been celibate for a while, so I know women can do it with no
Right.
ifs or buts about it.
Mm.
But I didn't know men can actually physically do
I went
that.
a year. I went a
Okay,
year.
he said 5.
It's been
Yeah, though. I know he said
I did.
5.
I
But
did
let me tell you
5.
something. It's a challenge for
been
us
over
because
a
of our
year.
testosterone
Yeah.
and how we are.
Yeah.
But at the end
Right.
of the day, once we get it right, once we're in that mode, it's a wrap.
I don't
shut it
think
down.
about it.
Y'all can physically go celibate. Like I'm
gonna let the gentleman tell you did it for
I don't
5
think
years.
it's fine.
I do not think about it.
I
I do
would say
not think about it.
I did choke my chick. I ain't gonna say I choked my chicken though.
Okay,
Word.
I thought you was just out here like nothing.
No, but we're
Kenny,
not touching
you're
nobody.
talking about TMI.
And see, I don't even masturbate. And
See, I'm trying not to do that anymore because once you get used to doing that,
Right.
when you want to be with a woman, then it's different. So you got to try to abstain from all that. And
Over this year, my creative juices, I've got back into writing. Like I said, I've been doing Real Talk for Real Men for a year. I don't really think about it. I actually don't
Can
even
I ask
miss
you
it.
this
You
though?
know.
What if you have a woman just throwing it at you like, oh, she's like,
I'm
it's been
glad
minutes
you
or
asked that
something?
question because remember earlier when I talked about opportunity, Brittany, if you're still on, it's about not putting yourself in situations where you can be compromised. That's exactly what I'm
it can
talking
happen
about.
at work.
No. We were talking about this last night. You're absolutely right. I was literally at work with someone I work with right now. We were bowling, innocent situation. I said, I'm getting ready to leave. The young lady, as we walking out, it was raining. She said, I need some dick. So now I was in a situation where we had a couple of drinks, but this is this generation. They real with it.
Straight
But
up.
she scared the hell out of me. But here's where And my thing, we going to walk out. She said, "I need some dick." And at that point, I was like,
Right.
Just
"Hey,
like
you know,
In that trap.
oh my God,
Right.
yeah." But my thing was, we are accountable, Candace, and I wasn't going to put myself in a position to where if I hung around another 10 minutes, yeah, I'd have been all down her throat. But I know I had to leave in that moment.
That's right.
Let me ask you this: were you attracted to her? Is she attractive?
I do find her attractive, but she scares me because she's too easy.
Ah,
There
got
you
Is she
it.
go.
somebody?
Yes.
Can I ask this? Is she somebody new or someone that worked there when I was there?
This is somebody who's still working here.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a sidebar.
Ah,
stop now.
good job, brother. Good job.
I'm proud. Hey,
But
power to the people. Power.
It's there. Huh?
It's like y'all will put it's like women have to be in a certain category. Either we can't be too easy or we can't hold. I mean, I remember before, and at this time I was a virgin. I wasn't with anyone. I wasn't trying to look for anyone. That was the farthest thing from my mind. And I was told I was being called a tease, whatever the hell that meant. And it was a problem. Like people, it was a major problem. But I wasn't like throwing that thing at people. I wasn't flirting with you. I was literally just being myself. And if I did that, then I'm considered a tease. But if I'm throwing that ass in a circle, then I'm too
You might not. You maybe didn't realize you was teasing.
Right.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I said the same thing to her in a different way, but I said the same thing. And there's levels to being a tease, especially in a man's mind. Now you maybe you weren't, but in our mind,
Right,
it might be something
right.
that you did that you're like, oh man, she a tease.
Right.
How though? But it's like we gotta be in a certain
feel like
category.
it's a double standard because I'll say this: me and Hannah, as attractive women, if we're nice to you, oh, we're a tease. But if it's an unattractive woman or woman, she's not a tease.
You can
So
be mean. You can be mean to me, and it's still a tease.
Tease.
You can be
Exactly.
mean to me,
Right.
and
That's
you can
And
still
that's
be a
not what I
tease.
was
That's
trying-
true.
not me, but
Men can tell you. I've had women that get away from me, and the thought in my mind is, well, I would like to shut her up.
yeah, I've been called a tease because of me being. I consider myself an alpha female, and a man told me there's no such thing as an alpha female, and he was gonna set me straight and all this other stuff. So I think,
straight.
yeah,
Like
Yeah,
Bert
no,
said, it's
that-
in
but that's
our
something-
mind. See,
We are
it's in our
conquerors.
mind.
We looking
It's
at
in
you
our
like,
mind.
oh, you
It's
think
in our
you all that?
mind.
I got what you need. I'm gonna shut you down.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm gonna set you straight. That's how we are sometimes. Hey, listen, we're gonna
I
keep it all the way
think
100.
y'all don't understand the power that we have as women. It's not
But I
only the
think y'all
power of the
underestimate the
pussy.
power as us as men. Y'all underestimate us a whole lot. So we can come with it, and you might think that we stupid with it.
Yes,
But,
sir.
but listen,
Right.
we are the master manipulators.
Yes,
out
sir.
here. Trust me on that.
Let me tell you something, Candace. What been working from the beginning of the time, that line that ain't never gonna go out of style. Let me just put the head in. We've been using that for centuries.
Nobody's falling for that. This done.
If I'm letting you put the head in, that means
That's
I
been-
wanted it from the
that
get-go.
line
though.
don't
Thank
never
you,
not
Candace.
work.
Thank you. Candace,
If I'm letting you put the head in, Freddie, I've
want
been
it.
wanting it. So
we just want to be that
I'm just
lady.
saying.
So this is the thing. We want to be that lady who we're not considered too easy. But best believe, as Candace stated, if it goes by, let me put the head. We already wanted it. We knew
Yeah.
when we saw you, we wanted it.
Okay.
But if we
Like-
knew,
like-
we know if we'd have been like,
You can
okay,
tell
go
yourself
all the way,
whatever
like,
gets you through the
like
night.
Hannah said, it's the
no one said we
perception.
easy.
It's the perception. We want the perception that it's hard to get us. But if it's if we feeling you and we want the dick and you already there at the
Spread
house,
eagle.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Hey, y'all already know if y'all gonna give us some or not.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Don't realize
But I'll tell y'all this:
We
in
do
my
realize
monster
that.
years,
The fact of the
I
matter is, it's a matter of whether afterwards and whether we gonna stick around or not.
Yeah, that's
Good
that-
point.
or we
Good
push
point.
out or
Because
not.
Good point.
Straight
Good
up.
Good point. But I can
Straight
tell you
up.
this: in my monster years, there's many occasions where I can tell you what that I've been able to say, my boy wants some of that. It's just sex. And it went down. I've had women that I would never let another woman go down on me. Baby, it's just sex.
well, let me tell you
I'm not
this.
gonna look at you no different in the morning. I'm gonna still like
Let me
you.
tell you, Freddie and Bert, like y'all said, it's just sex. You'll be done after that. we as women know if we're giving it to you that easy, let's say on the first night, we know, like, if I'm giving it to you on that first night, that means the next night I don't want you calling me.
I don't
Don't
want you-
call me. I
Really?
wanted to have some,
But we
and
already,
that was it.
already got you.
On-
We
on the
already got
first
what we
night?
want.
Do you think I
we-
care if I get a
we-
call, a second call back?
We still in there. We
Let me
still-
say
we
this.
still
I
got
know
what we
you.
got.
I know y'all don't care, but I'm gonna say this as a prime
They care,
example.
Candace. They
As
care.
a prime example, y'all got it that first night or whatever, and we left it alone, and then y'all come a few days later. WYD, what you doing?
I
And-
don't. I don't. because
And-
If your
or-
soul
I'ma
is
say this,
rich, you
I
will.
don't.
Nah.
I know
And
because I'm
then
gonna say
you-
this. That's why I've said when a man has sex with a woman.
it's hey stranger, y'all come back.
Let me tell you why I don't. Let me tell you
Happy
why I
New
don't.
Year.
I'm gonna tell you why I don't.
He
Because
can-
when you give it to me, I don't believe we have the luxury of bullshitting around and putting out C game. So that's why when you give it to me, I'm gonna spend all my tricks in case I don't get it no more. So I can walk away and say I done had that thing my way, and that pussy don't owe me nothing. It don't owe me
Thank
nothing.
you,
What if
brother.
your tricks weren't up to par?
We ain't worried about that. We still put them tricks
It
in.
don't owe
Right.
me nothing.
You don't understand the monster side of us. Like we are.
So let me ask
That's
you.
why I
Let me
can
ask
agree
you.
with you when
Let
you
me
say
ask
you're
you
being a
guys
monster.
this.
Everybody
Let me
been
ask-
that monster stage.
Well,
Let me
we
ask
met-
you
were you
guys
a
this.
monster?
Hey, what you
Let
saying,
me ask
Candace?
you guys
No,
this.
let him answer this
Can
question.
I ask y'all this? I had a friend that felt like she was playing men like how they play us. So there was a guy that she was dealing with that she got with him that first time they had sex, and she got up and left. And then he called her because he was afraid. I don't know why he called her, but he felt like his performance wasn't well or whatever. But he called her and she was like, let me hit you back. I'm gonna call you back. And this guy kept calling her. And then the only time she dealt with him was when she wanted some dick, and we used to call him Dick in a Jar. So what do y'all say to that?
Let me
It's
answer.
been out here like that.
I watched the movie Boomerang with Eddie Murphy when he finally got with Robin Givens and she finally gave him that thing, and then she left some money on the table and he was feeling some type of way.
Right, he started putting
That's
the
that's that boomerang effect, man. Yeah, he got
That
boomerang.
happened to you. You do run that. We do run that risk.
We do. It happens. It happens.
I wrote an article. I'm working on 2 books. Like one's called The Ebony Chronicles. The other is called It Should All Be So Simple. I wrote an article called The Five-Headed Man. I'm gonna post this article for y'all to understand why that happens. You know, the article starts out with how many men does it take to screw in a light bulb? I'm gonna post this article. So I want y'all to read this article and it talks about why that happens. But I need you guys to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. Can you?
Yes.
I want to do the definitely.
Yes, please
Please.
subscribe to Real Talk for Real Men. That's
Real
that's
talk
pretty.
for real
It's
man.
called Real Talk for Real Men.
Candace,
Yeah.
can you send it to us so we can
Please
Yes,
share my
I'll
channel.
add it to my description.
Am I
I'll add
able to
your link to my
subscribe?
description.
Let me say this last thing before I go, because I actually got to work tomorrow. God forgive me. And but I want y'all to hear this and be a part of it too. Candace, I've already spoke to Kennard about this. I've been on hiatus from my show over this holiday season. My first show launches tomorrow. We're talking about the 4 stages of dating and New Year's resolutions. So I invite you to subscribe to my channel, going live at 8 o'clock. We're going to talk about that. But I'm starting my own network platform, just like Hulu has a platform. I've already talked to Kennard about this, Candace. So we're going to talk about this a little bit further. Just like Netflix was started, Hulu was started. We're starting our own platform.
Streaming platform.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in 2021, they say you name it and you claim it. Candace, I plan on partnering more with you, Kennard. We've got some good people in place. We're gonna do this thing for real.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this thing
I
for
agree.
real. I want you guys to come along on the journey. It's our time. It's our
Black
time.
folks in
These
business.
conversations are so necessary.
Yes.
So I thank you for inviting me to be a part of it and host for you tonight. But look at what we've done for real. We've been able to talk about complicated topics, disagree without being disagreeable, share our views, and take something away from it, making us all better people. So that's what this is about for me. So
Great.
I want to thank you
Yeah.
guys.
Yes. Does anybody else have final thoughts on anything, Hannah and Bert, Kenny?
You know what? I really don't have any final thoughts, but I'll say this. I guess I do. I'll say this. I know we joke around. We talk about things that we've done in our past and things, and it's all in good fun and all. But really, communication is always the key. And I will always stress that no matter who you with, no matter who you're dealing with, always communicate and always be yourself. Be yourself. Be comfortable in your skin. And
Love
if
it.
you do find that person, make sure that they understand how the way you are and that they can be comfortable along with you. All right. And don't hold any judgment against that other person. Be yourself.
I agree.
I agree.
Kenny?
I want to say, first of all, cousin, thank you for inviting me to be on. I really had a blast tonight. I really it was good to be in an environment where we can express and we can talk, especially as Black men and Black women. A lot of times, instead of us, it's always this back and forth about who hurt who, and
Yep.
I heard you hurt me more and you hurt me more. But to really come out here and talk and give us a platform where we can speak and talk and have fun too at the same time. It just was definitely I enjoyed it. But I would say this though. I would say that we all need somebody. I think people, especially single people, they say, I'm cool with being single. That's cool. Yeah, you're cool being single. But at the end of the day, you want to be able to find somebody to share your life with. That's going to stop fooling yourself and saying like, yo, I don't want to be with anybody, because you're lying to yourself. You want to be able to find that person that you can share life moments with. It don't necessarily maybe lead to marriage, but just companionship. I mean,
That's right.
God created woman for men.
That's right.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, so stop saying that you cool with being single, because you're really not. Just take your time, meet people, talk to them, and then let it go the way it go. Don't pressure yourself into having to force something, but
That's
just
right.
put yourself out there to maybe meet somebody. But again, I enjoyed it, man. I really had a good time, and I'm glad, Candace. I'm glad you asked me to be on, cousin. So thank you.
Yes.
Oh, you're welcome, Kenny. My final thoughts. I want to thank all of you for joining. My big cousin Kenny for joining. Thank you. I enjoyed your input. I always enjoy Hannah and Bert and Freddie. Thank you for hosting the show. This is the Lions Den. I do this every other Friday. Next week will be the ladies' show, but I love to have a man's perspective, and we as women at times can listen. So don't ever think Black women don't listen, because we are always listening.
I don't know about that.
Can I say one?
Always
I
watch.
Hannah, you want to say something?
I want to say I was actually happy to sit back and learn things today. Some things I thought I knew, I did not know, and it's always good to learn something new, especially when Candace and I, when she does have the show, we have a lot of female perspectives, and to actually hear men saying different things that we think otherwise, or contradicting with this, it was just okay. Some of our views, I was okay with learning that, because we don't always know. So I do appreciate the learning and the point of views, and especially it's the first of the year, like we start. I feel like this was a good start off of 2021. So I really enjoy these topics tonight. I've learned a lot, and I also will listen to Kendrick, as he stated. Everybody probably does want someone. I was, prior to him, not gonna say I was a B after my divorce. I can admit that I was, and I was like, I don't want nobody, I don't need nobody. F people, F man, be by myself. I went through hell. I was that person. So when Kendrick said, it's some people do want someone, and sometimes you don't know it. I didn't know it. I was just stuck in my own ways and my own hurt that I did not know. You probably do want someone eventually. You can move on, and you can go on, and there's someone else out there for you if you just stop being stuck in your own ways, deal with the hurt you're going through, and move on. So I listen when you said that, because some people do want somebody, they just don't know it yet, or they're just not willing to deal with whatever it is that's holding them back from wanting someone else, or they maybe, as y'all all stated, you didn't want to damage someone else.
Mhm.
So thank you, Candace, so much for allowing me to come on again. I mean, I'm loving this Saturday.
Yeah.
Friday.
Candace, thank you so much
You're
for inviting me. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you all come back. It's refreshing to hear the men's perspective. I like Hannah's perspective as well. Me and Hannah have a lot in common.
Yes.
So I like hearing it. I hope we continue to have these conversations and open up the dialogue between Black men and women, because if y'all have not seen on social media, they try to put us against
Right.
put us against each other. It's this whole war, and it's not even like that.
Nope.
We are both grown, educated people. We belong with each other. We deserve to hear each other out, and I hope to provide that platform for all of us. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the Candy Shop. Also, subscribe to Real Talk for Real Men, and subscribe to Hannah's channel, which is Heels and Meals.
Yeah, because she's
Yes, as well.
I better go to her channel and subscribe. Get the
Yes,
Okay.
Hannah is a chef. So
Right.
All right. All right.
make sure you subscribe. We are Black people that support each other. There's no crabs in the barrel here.
That's right.
we all win. We can all sit at the table.
That's right.
That's
right.
Good night, everybody, and
All right.
that's it. Bye-bye.
All right. You have a good night.